Well, first and foremost, hope you had a great holiday. Whatever you choose to holiday, whatever your given holiday is, I hope it went well for you. I hope you had a great time. I know we probably did. And this will probably be coming out at New Year's weekend. So I'm hoping that goes well for you as well. Happy New Year and happy holiday. And the show, we got a little coarse. That's why I want to interrupt. Viewer discretion is advised. This is not a kid-friendly episode. Ricardo and I kind of slipped into a cruder vernacular. Some F-bombs, some S-bombs, and we got a little crude and rude and crude. So just wanted to let you know ahead of time before you get too far in. The language is a little coarse, so viewer discretion is advised. That said, back to the show. Going, baby. That's him.
That's Himathy.
It's Himathy. What's happening?
Not much, It's Friday night. We have a long weekend, right?
Yeah. It is Christmas weekend. So this will actually be airing next weekend. So today's the 21st. So this will be coming out New Year's weekend.
Nice.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, every 2 weeks. And I just posted one last weekend. So I've got a week. When we finish this, I've got like a week.
You do all your editing and stuff in-house or no?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's one man show. Beth helps, but I do most of it because she's doing household stuff.
Okay.
Lily keeps
Makes
her
sense.
very busy.
Yeah.
And especially here lately, we've divvied up. We kind of divvied up the Christmas prep. She shops and does things, and I help wrap kind of when I can.
Okay.
My helping was some of the wrapping and pay for stuff.
Very common for a guy.
That's kind of
Let's talk about how expensive it is now, though.
No.
I mean,
actually,
what could you buy with $200 now? How many gifts? Maybe
depends on how much you like the person you're shopping for and how thrifty you are. Because Beth is incredibly thrifty and clever. She manages to get people really nice gifts for very little money. I think, so far, all of our gifting, I want to say sub 400.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's pretty big family or
Pretty good sized. She shopped for at least 10 people. Thereabouts 10 people.
I remember, I believe it was 2019. I shopped for about...
Sorry, I started counting family members.
It's okay. I shopped for my ex-wife's side of the family, which is about 13 kids.
Oy!
Sister-in-law, her brother, my mother-in-law, and my father-in-law.
Man.
My side of the family, which is another...
So you're at almost 20 people already.
Okay, yeah. Altogether, I covered her side of the family and my side of the family, the one we're most closest to, and I was at $1,000. 2019. Okay?
Damn.
That's 2019, though.
Damn.
It wasn't that expensive. Right now, I couldn't do it.
Damn.
I could not do it, and I think
No.
that's why the majority of the people are isolating themselves. Because before it was these huge gatherings for Christmas, and everybody was like, "Yeah, let's get together here and there," and all of a sudden, it's like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, we're just staying home."
Yeah.
Or you know what? We have no
Dude,
plans.
this whole economy right now has got people so beaten down and depressed.
And isolated.
I see it in every store I go to. I didn't know about the isolation because I usually don't ask people their plans, but you're right. I go to stores, and it started ages ago with replacing Merry Christmas with Happy Holidays. Now people are afraid to even say that. Because you get to the checkout counter, and you buy the stuff, you pay for the stuff, and you gauge. I make chit chat.
Yeah.
The art of chit chat is kind of like a dying art.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to the counter, you talk to the person. Yeah, how's it going? Yeah, well, okay, I brought these goodie bags. I'm brought up this giant wad of candy. And
Thank you, by the way. I was very I was holding back and grabbing one because I thought the house brought them.
No, man.
Usually when they bring stuff, they'll put it there on the counter. So I went in there and I was kind of shy to grab one, but then you told me, and then I still didn't go because I thought you were saying it for them. You know.
Oh.
And then you threw one at me. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
And then when
you
Steven told me that, yeah, Davis brought those. I was like, oh, no way. Which,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You're not alone in that. Most people just weren't grabbing them because it's like it was next to the printer. It was off to the side a little bit.
Yeah.
So Mike Stewart, gave me the idea of putting them in the big bags that Rusty and Patty gave us because nobody was grabbing my little bags. And it's like, Mike, that's a brilliant idea. So I did. I just started dumping them in there.
Yeah, but I feel like the majority of us there feel the same way.
Yeah.
Because even when they bring food and stuff, like nobody really goes in there and grabs it.
Normally, like a candy tray, like the one Tim brought. Normally,
so Tim brought that.
The candy tray. He brings those every year. His wife makes that fudge that is oh so good.
It's really good.
And the coconut macaroons is like, I don't know if they buy those or make those or what, but it's like I want to know.
Yeah,
I love. Like I can't. I'm kind of compulsive. Like every time I walk past one of those, I grab like at least one or two.
Yeah.
The little peanut butter, chocolate covered.
I just feel like everybody in there is so judgmental, and it's like, screw it.
Well, I mean, normally I think everyone was kind of getting close to goodie burnout because customers bring in stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And especially right now, people are bringing in stuff, like our regulars and other commercial clients. We're bringing stuff in, and that's why the donuts are back there and these other chocolates are back there.
Okay.
So I think a lot of people are kind of getting on burnout a little bit because you can only eat so many goodies.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to pace yourself.
You start feeling after a while, especially when you're working.
Yeah, you can almost feel the sugar in your veins.
You go underneath the car, and you're like, all right, I think it's time to take a nap.
Oh man, yeah, you can almost feel the sugar
goody coma.
Yeah, sugar coma. When I put those bags back there this morning, Rusty was kind of looking at me like, there's some guys. What are you doing, man? You got some guys around here that are diabetic.
No way.
Well, dude, most of them rolled. Yeah.
So was he telling it to you as an understatement, or was he just being funny?
A little of both. You got to learn to read Rusty, and it takes practice to know when he's just pulling your leg or when he's really being on you.
Yeah,
because he's the Iceman. He's always even tempo. Even when he's really irritated, he's even tempoed.
I've noticed that.
He's just got ice water in his veins, dude.
I don't know when to take him serious.
He's like a fighter pilot. He just keeps his cool. It's like, yeah, they shot my wing off. This is gonna be a problem.
Yeah. I mean,
have you ever got a chance to listen to fighter pilots talk?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a great example people are familiar with Apollo 13. This is one of the reasons a lot of the early shuttle missions they chose fighter pilots.
Okay.
Because fighter pilots train on being superiorly calm.
Okay.
No matter what's happening, because if you're agitated or panicked, your heart rate goes up. You start having to breathing harder.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in a dogfight or in space, those are kind of things that can lead you to blacking out. So they need to keep you calm, so you keep your heart rate down, so your breathing stays steady.
Yeah.
So in Apollo 13, you can actually find on YouTube or any in depths of the internet recordings of when the shuttle is up there and then there's that explosion that sends them off course and ruins the mission.
Yeah.
I use that one because a lot of people saw the movie. So, but you can find the recordings of that, and if you watch the movie and then find those recordings, it's night and day difference.
Wow.
Yeah. So Rusty's kind of that way. He's just got that fighter pilot coolness.
Yeah.
The building's on fire, but he's still cool.
I mean, I feel like he's just been through so much shit that
oh, definitely.
Nothing really could throw him off,
Not much. Not much does.
I mean, I've seen him to where he's frustrated, but I haven't seen him blow up like a lot of guys say. He's blown up before there.
I don't think I've ever seen him blow up.
Yeah, see.
Even when we had a guy who crashed a car into another car, he was still cool. Still just that cool as a cucumber demeanor.
Like literally crashed it into another car.
Yeah, he was.
Is he still there?
No, he
Was that why?
no, he retired. Like another year or so later, he retired.
Oh, okay.
But he was backing out a like big old flatbed, and it was, I guess it was in the blind spot. It was this like squat little sedan, like a Ford Fusion.
Yeah.
I think it was. So he's backing out this huge flatbed, and he hit the left rear quarter panel of a car that was in those front. When you're coming up the driveway to the right side, there's all those cars there. He was backing out the flatbed into the main and hit that.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and that's not cheap. That's not cheap.
A quarter panel, no.
No.
It was a fender, maybe.
Yeah.
But the quarter panel, that's.
I think it damaged the bumper. I don't think it damaged the trunk lid, but and it's really sucked because he's one of the guy that did it is really likable. Yeah, but
Likeable meaning that everybody liked them.
yeah,
Was it?
I'm not saying. But even then, Rusty just had that cool as a cucumber demeanor.
Well, I mean,
Even when dealing with Dylan was an extra.
was he the guy that used to just chop everything? He's a butcher.
We called him Dylan the villain.
Yeah. Was he the guy? He was there not that long ago, right? Trying to get a job back.
Was he?
Some guy, tall, white guy. Maybe the 50s.
No, Dylan was younger. He's like maybe your age, somewhere between yours and mine.
Oh, then no.
You younger boy.
No. Well,
Wait, let's see. Older guy trying to get his job back.
yeah, he's worked there before, and Eric was telling me that he was just a butcher. He used to go in on everything, break stuff, and
Damn.
maybe it was before you, because you only been there what, 2 years?
3 years. Yeah, because I started in December of 20.
Yeah, it must
so
have
this
been.
makes exactly 3 years.
Must have been before you then.
Yeah. There's been a lot of guys come and go through there.
I mean, could see why. And I've only been there 5 months.
Yeah. But you know what? I don't really think that it's too exceptional. The rate of turnover there is not that exceptional compared to a number of other places I've worked.
What do you mean by turnover?
Okay, guy quits, hire another guy, that guy quits too.
Oh, like he doesn't go through a lot of mechanics.
Right. Any business.
I thought you were talking about business-wise, like cars getting turned over, leaving fast, because I would agree with that as well. The car be done Friday, it's still there next Thursday. I don't know how people just don't. How could people wait so long without their car?
It's not like they got much choice.
Or you think people actually give them shit?
Probably. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure my neighbor got pretty irritated. The Dustbuster van?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she got pretty irritated.
Okay, because also, there's cars there that have probably been there for years.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that red, what is it?
Equinox?
Equinox. And when I was telling Levon, he's like, hey, if you need anything, go pull parts off that one. That's been there for almost as long as I have.
And what happens to that?
I think they just abandoned it. Like, it's just like...
The customer doesn't care about it no more?
Well, I think it's... What happens sometimes, and you'll find this in other shops, that customer brings a car in, they think it's going to be so much money. It turns out to be 10 times that. They think it's going to be X amount of dollars. And it turns out to be 10 times that.
Okay, let me give you an example.
And, okay, that car. And it's doing something they think it's going to be, customers like, well, I hope it's nothing more than $500, maybe $1,000 to fix this. Well, it's a 2.4 Ecotec. You need a new engine because it's garbage.
Yeah.
And that's going to be $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for one of those things. By the time you get the old one out, new one, to R&R and a whole engine, you're talking $7,000 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And they were planning on $500 to $1,000, hoping, because most people are fucking dead broke. They're $500 away from a real crisis.
Yeah.
They're paycheck to paycheck, so they might have a couple bucks, or they're just whipping out the Visa.
Well, you also got to take in consideration that because I used to have my own shop, and I used to get customers. Just recently, I just finished beating a case. The guy that took me to small claims brought me his car, and it needed an engine. Well, I ordered the engine, put it in, we agreed to it, whatever. He paid for it. Job was complete. But then after the engine, I went on a test drive, and the car had no power.
Ooh.
No power, no check engine light, no codes. I go to the back of the tailpipe, and the cats are clogged. Well, here I am calling the customer, and be like, so, first of all, you brought me the car, towed it in. The engine was locked up. Put the engine in it, and now the car has no power. So obviously the customer is going to be upset, right?
Okay, so wait, they towed it in.
Yeah.
Completely dead.
Yeah, wouldn't crank, nothing.
No crank. Okay, so there was no way for you to know the exhaust was plugged because the only way to know that for the audience here.
Yeah.
Because I can hear the keyboard warriors already. Oh, they should have known that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's no way to test for a plugged exhaust without driving the car or at least starting the engine. So if the engine's already completely locked up, there's no way to know that the exhaust was plugged.
Now the response is also going to be like, well, when you remove the manifold to put on the engine, couldn't you see?
No.
Technically you could, but you can't tell it's clogged.
Yeah.
I've had cats where they're completely clogged. With the filter still intact.
Yeah, the substrate, and most substrates, most catalytic converters, you've got a substrate bed, an air gap, and a substrate bed. So maybe you look down in it and you've got a partial view of the top substrate, but maybe the back one's completely clogged up.
Yeah.
And
then the majority of them, there's not even an inspection O2 sensor hole. You can't even look in there.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, removing the O2 sensor, you could see in there. And it was intact.
Okay.
But the bottom part was shredded up. So I tried explaining that to him, and
they don't want to hear
he lost it.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I just spent so much on this, and now I have to pay for this. You should have known. And it was all you should have known, pointing fingers back and forth. I was like, look, you brought the car in, not running. The car runs now.
Yeah.
So he took me to small claims, and he lost.
Well, yeah.
Because he signed. As long as you have all your paperwork in order and everything, you're going to be fine.
A repair order, folks, is a contract. If you sign that and the job is completed, you've contractually obligated yourself to paying that bill. And that's if the shop is on the up and up.
I even went as far as being nice to him, and I hollowed it out for him just to prove to him that the engine is at peak performance.
You're not supposed to do that, but you can.
I know. We can edit that out, though. But see, it's just things that sometimes we have no control over. Okay, your car's been there for so long. And it goes back to the point that we were speaking on, that sometimes we have the money to fix what we were told that was wrong with it.
Yeah.
But we don't know about any other underlying issues. I mean, the car had 250,000 miles. It was a Nissan. What do you expect? There's going to have underlying issues.
Well, it doesn't matter what brand. That's a lot of mileage, That's the kind of mileage that can wear out a factory cat. It was was it original?
Yes, it was.
That's 250,000 miles. That cat's probably pretty full.
Let's say his cat would have been fine, but now you're having transmission issues. Oh, and another thing I forgot to add. He's like, hey, my car feels really bouncy now when I go over things. I'm like, yeah, your struts are 250,000 miles old, and you're still running on original struts, original suspension.
Oh God, he was an Eversensor.
Well, it didn't feel like that before.
Yes, the Eversense Club.
Well, I'm sorry, but I didn't drive the car when you drove it in because it wasn't drivable, and you probably don't even remember how long it's been since you've driven it, being that the engine was broken for how long?
Yeah.
And he just never replied to me. Well, what could you do at that point?
That's, the Eversense Club is what I call that. Hey, ever since you replaced my windshield wipers, my car turns to the left now.
He replaced my transmission, but my rear tail light's out now.
It's like two things that are completely unconnected, but they think it's your fault.
Yeah.
The Eversense.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's things we got to deal with every day, right?
Yeah. Be a mechanic. It's fun. It's easy.
No, it's not.
Oh man, Levon was
My
MFing
back.
you. Levon was messing with you a little bit
About what?
because you told him something was easy.
Oh, because he's like,
You were pulling his leg, but
I gotta do a timing chain. I was like, oh, that's easy. Yeah, everything's easy to you. Why don't you do it then? I was like, oh, send it my way. See,
I think he thought you were serious.
in a way, I was, because that's my cup of tea.
Oh, okay.
Timing chains. I like to go after
Those Ford Explorers are just
the very
garbage,
technical
though.
things in cars. I really
Yeah.
don't like doing brakes, oil changes,
Mm.
replace a starter, because I've been doing this for so long. I'm 31. I've been doing this since I was 14.
Damn. Okay. Yeah.
That's all I've done since. That's all I did was
You need the challenge of drivability to keep it interesting.
all I did was R&R for about 7 years, and I've R&R'd anything you could think of in a car. Anything.
Don't doubt it.
Sunroof, even windows.
Yeah.
You know, I've done everything, every single thing. So I started getting into drivability about, I want to say, 6 years ago.
Wow.
And I liked it.
Yeah.
And when you like something, you can really excel in it, you know?
My headphones are really loud. I'm just adjusting the volumes a little bit. I
Yeah,
just
mine
realized.
sound perfect.
Yeah.
So,
For some reason, mine was like all the way up. I don't know how that happened.
yeah, so when you like something, you really excel in it. And I'm at the point right now where the other things just bore me. Like replacing a starter or master cylinder. It's just like, fuck, it's really dragging on
It's
me.
just kind of tedious.
But I like the challenge.
Yeah. See, I don't mind it so much doing the R&R stuff. I'm really only about 3 years in.
Okay.
Because I worked at
Very new.
the tire store. I did that for about 5 years. And then I was out of the industry. I kind of Mr. Magoo'd my way through life for a long time before deciding, I really miss being a mechanic.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking. Because I could have done anything. And yet I really wanted to be a mechanic again.
But you went through the schooling. You have the knowledge.
Nah, the schooling doesn't count, man.
You understand how things work.
Now, the schooling I took is actually obsolete.
Okay.
Way
So
obsolete.
let's brush that off. But you have an understanding of how a car works.
More or less, yeah.
And that's the key, one of the keys you need to be able to perform.
Yeah. See, that's my background. I started at the tire store. And
Your first ever hands-on with a car was at a tire shop.
No. Oh, God. My first ever hands-on with a car was probably when I was about 4. My dad was a mechanic. I inherited a lot of, like, most of my toolbox and most of the stuff that's in there. The old red one there, the top and the bottom there. The middle part's new. I bought that, but the top and bottom I actually inherited that from my dad. The bottom half's like a Montgomery Ward.
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that in when I was living in LA about 7 years ago.
Yeah, they've been gone for a long time.
Yeah.
Powercraft tools. One of my favorite screwdrivers, you can actually just still make out where they stamped it in there. The ink is worn off, but you can still see the imprint where they stamped it. It says Powercraft.
Yeah. So,
And so I inherited a lot from him. I also inherited the interest. But my dad left the industry when things were starting to go fuel injection and front-wheel drive. He was a mechanic up in Oakland for the company called Goodwill Cab.
Yeah.
And he could do mechanic, he could do he would drive it, and he could do dispatch. But when they were using the Chrysler New Yorker or the step down, whatever the base model of that was. A lot of sedans, Chrysler sedans that they were using, with the slant 6, big old leaning tower power.
Yeah.
And they were using those, but then Chrysler switched over to the K car, so the guys who's owned it started buying those up because sometimes you need new cars. And my dad took one look at that and said, "Nope, I don't understand what's going on in here. I don't. Nope, I ain't. I." He just wouldn't do it.
But it's all the same though.
I know.
Suck, squeeze, bang, blow.
That's it.
There's nothing else to it.
Yeah. Suck, pump, bang, belt. It's
a lot of
forced.
people.
But he wouldn't even work on my Toyota Corolla. He wouldn't under fuel injection? No. Foreign? No. Front wheel drive? No.
Some people just... Let me tell it to you like this. Because my dad was the same way. And he told me this. He's like, you got to stick to what you know. But I responded and told him, if I stick to what I know, I'm never going to excel.
Things change.
Things change every year.
Mm-hmm.
We're never going to be able to keep up with what's coming out.
Mm-mm.
But you could at least have the advantage into catching up.
Yeah. There's a great movie called Other People's Money. It's got Danny DeVito and Gregory Peck in it. And Danny DeVito gives this awesome Gregory Peck, he owns this factory. They make steel cabling, and they're in like Pennsylvania, I think.
Yeah.
And it's this family business. They've had it since the Depression. This movie takes place in like the 80s, maybe the early 90s.
Okay.
And it's been family owned since like the 1920s or, you know, whatever, since the Depression. And, well, that was the 30s, but anyways. And the company's on dire straits. Wow. And they are, because things have been changing. They've been making steel cable, like the same ways and everything, but and it's like some of the best steel cable you can get, but hardly anybody's ordering, so their books are going slightly down.
Yeah.
Well, Danny DeVito is this investor guy, so he's like, wants to liquidate the company, close the doors, and sell off the assets. And there's this battle going on. They're making their pitch. You know, he's the owner, and here's this investor guy. Gregory Peck goes in there and gives this freaking heartwarming pro-America, pro-American industry, believe in the American industry, that we can bounce back from this speech, that you just want to hug the flag and shed a tear, and it just brings it. But then Danny DeVito answers it with exactly what you're saying, that you have to constantly kind of learn new things. If you stick with what you know forever, eventually you're outdated. Yeah. Talking about buggy whips.
It's like everything in life.
Danny DeVito starts talking about buggy whips. Mm-hmm. How many people do you know use buggy whips? Other than the Amish.
Okay.
And he's like, he goes in there and he starts talking about that. There was companies that made buggy whips, and they were the best buggy whips you could get. They were made from the finest materials by the most talented craftsmen, and they're gone because nobody wanted buggy whips.
Just like
because
that.
Nobody needed them, because nobody drives buggies anymore.
Yeah.
So why does this steel cable company? Nobody was using steel cable for this and that. And, you know, it was time to give up. They hang up that company,
mm-hmm.
because that company couldn't adapt to the way things were going at the time, the technology of the industry.
And that's what happens to the majority of the people.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to adapt. I mean, if you don't, you stay behind.
I mean, it took me the better part of a day to convince my dad to help me out, because I had a 79 Corolla and inline 4-cylinder, pushrod engine.
Pushrod is life.
Pushrod is life. Pushrod is life. I love pushrod because it's simple and it just keeps going.
Yes.
I mean, and 5-speed transmission, rear-wheel drive. My dad should be right in there. It was a 2-barrel carburetor. My dad should know this stuff.
That's right up his alley.
No, it's metric.
No.
I'm like, Dad, it's the same thing as your cabs. It's just the same thing. It's just missing 2 cylinders.
That's it.
It's just, instead of a 3/8, you grab a 10 mil. Instead of a 9/16, you grab a 14. Come on, help me out here. I'm 19. I'm young. I'm just north of a bag of hammers. Help me out here. I don't know how to tune a carburetor.
You know what? That's crazy and silly as it sounds. I wouldn't be able to take apart something right now with my toolbox that's metric.
Really?
Yeah.
Couldn't do it?
I don't know, on a 3/8 socket.
Oh, that's standard.
Standard, sorry. I always get them confused.
Yeah, everything else is metric.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, 3/8 socket. Nothing standard in my toolbox right now.
I keep a handful of standards.
I have it at home, put away.
Yeah.
Because aircraft is all standard. But I don't own it where we're at.
Keep a small handful of it at work, because once in a while they're going to throw you a 63 Lincoln.
I'll just come to Davis.
I'm right here, baby.
Yeah.
I got you.
There you go. But see, my thing was, okay, when I first came into Rusty and I told him, I was like, hey, so looking for a job, getting divorced and closing my place down. By the way, I was doing really good.
No doubt.
Like, really good.
Good mechanics are hard to find, and when people find one, word spreads fast.
So he's like, well, what's going on? I was like, well, I told him a little bit about my life, and, he told me, he's like, okay, whenever you're ready, shoot me a text. And we kind of talked about it a little bit. We talked about the pay and, and maybe this is a little personal, so make sure you cut this out. But,
okay. I should probably write this down then.
We will now have a short intermission.
Okay.
I turned them both off. There it goes.
Enough with work talk. Let's get into a different subject now.
Yeah, because I could fuck.
We could go on forever talking about work, and I mean, I'm sure everybody that has a job could do the same thing,
Yeah. I mean, situations happen. You just got to make the best of it. And one thing that really helped me through the end of my time in manufacturing at DPS was I had started reading a lot of self-help books.
Okay.
And one line that really struck out looking back, and it's like, damn, I actually did that, was things turn out best for those who make the best of how things turn out. A situation, it's going to rain. It's, rain's going to happen. It's just whether or not you hate the rain for happening, or if you just like, well, that's happening, I guess I'll just adjust what I was going to do today because it's raining.
You could only feel as bad as you allow yourself to feel.
So, yeah, I took 2 weeks, and actually, it was almost immediate. What I did was I gathered up the tools in my car, and we're talking about, that you could just go anywhere and get a job.
Yeah.
So they fired me, and I almost immediately put a bunch of tools in my car. I had that giant duffel bag that's over there. Put some tools in it, put the jack in my trunk, put an ad on Craigslist, mobile mechanic.
Nice.
Started putting brake pads on people's cars.
Okay.
Making 20, 40, $40, $60 here and there. And then I was just like, well, and I probably could have expanded that. Looking back, it's like, damn, I could be self-employed right now if I'd done it.
That's how I started my shop.
Yeah.
Craigslist.
Yeah.
And Facebook.
It works.
And I saved enough money to where I said, you know what? And you know what? When I first opened my shop, I'm going to tell it to you like this. I told my brother, hey, there's this building for lease, and you want to hop on board with me? He said, oh, well, I don't have any money saved up, and this and that. And one thing I learned about life is that if
most people don't have any money saved up.
Not just that, like, if you don't sacrifice yourself, you'll never gain anything.
True.
And I went home and I told my wife, I was like, man, I want to do it, but I'm scared. So I told my brother, that way if I lose, I don't lose by myself. And she's like, well, if you're scared, then, maybe just keep doing what you're doing. But I sat down that night and I was like, you know what? What do I have to lose besides money? Money comes and goes.
Money comes and goes.
Opportunities don't.
It's true.
I took it. Everything I had saved up. It was like $4,000 to $5,000 I had in my pockets from doing jobs, deposit, and the lease. I had this big old building. I thought, I was like, I'm never gonna fill this up.
Oh no! Yeah, it fills up fast.
My younger brother, I told him, hey, you want a job? He's like, well, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, come work for me. He starts laughing. He's like, he showed up. He's like, you don't even have any cars. I had like 2 cars, 2 side jobs that I had at home that I towed him over. I was like, let's get these 2 out, and I'm going to get some more this week.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, do you have enough money to pay me Friday? I was like, not right now, but I will. And I've always been confident in myself. Dude, the next day I got up at 6 in the morning. I started hustling. I started going to every dealership in Fresno. Boom, 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 boom. I shit you not. By the end of the week, that shop was full of cars.
No doubt, man.
And just me and my brother. We started pumping them out. Next thing you know, my cousins came over from Mexico, and his dad is a mechanic. I hired them on, both of them.
Wow.
So it went from 1 employee to 3.
Man.
Within a month.
Within a month? Fuck. You were growing fast.
Then here comes my older brother, the one I told him to partner up with me. He's like, hey, so I thought about it, and now I want to partner up. I was like, hey, buddy. The train left. You want to come partner up now that I'm somewhat established just because you see growth? And in the beginning you were scared? I knew you had $900 saved up.
Yeah.
To jump in. That's all I was asking for was $900.
Damn.
And he didn't want to take that risk. You missed your chance. He's like, well, could you give me a job? I was like, sure. Started him off at $20 an hour in 2019.
Damn. I would have killed for $20 an hour 3 years ago.
So
4 years ago.
Here we are. Here I am, 4 employees later.
Damn.
Pumping. Dude, my first year, I made $400,000. I grossed $400,000 my first year.
What was the net? I mean, that's a pretty massive gross.
Honestly, I don't remember.
But
But
it was probably pretty good, though.
it was up there.
Yeah.
It was up there. My second year, I didn't do as good because the city started fucking with me.
Yeah, you told me about that.
The building wasn't up to code. So here I am back and forth with the city. I started losing customers because I couldn't get the permits to keep those cars there. So I started getting fines after fines after fines. So the following year, it went from 4, I think it was like 100,000 less or something like that. It was nothing too crazy.
Ouch.
So I moved over to a different building. So I went from my big old shop. I had a big shop.
Yeah.
To this other smaller shop, which was still decent, but I went from 5 mechanics to 2.
Damn, that cuts your volume way down.
In smaller place. So yeah, my volume got cut down, but I started doing programming.
Okay. Start doing more technical stuff.
So yeah, so I said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm gonna stop with all this R&R with alternators, axles, starters, and I'm gonna move on to drivability.
Yeah.
The things that supply and demand. There's a lot of shops that will remove your starter. There's not a lot of shops that'll get you in, tell you the problem, and fix it.
Yeah, drivability is it's a different game, and it's one that I've dabbled in a little bit, but my background is all R&R, brakes and suspension stuff.
It's like I could
It's
take
a different game.
I could take my phone to get the battery replaced on it.
Yeah.
But I can't take my phone in to get just anywhere to get the LCD put in or to get a new camera installed.
Or if you're having a problem with the software.
Yeah, the
software problems are a whole different problem.
Yeah, so that's what separates you right there.
Yeah.
It's congested with R&R shops everywhere.
Oh yeah, especially this end of town, tire shops are everywhere, dude.
But it's not in every corner where you find the place that can diag your car for, why is my ABS light on? Why is my tire pressure light on? Why is my check engine light on after I replaced my part already? I'm having electrical issues. You can't go anywhere and just get that done. So that was my shop.
Yeah.
I need my computer programmed on my BMW. Nobody in town does it besides me and a couple other guys.
Yeah.
Even then, you can't call. I guarantee you tomorrow, pick up your phone and Google, where can I get my computer program for my 2015 BMW 535i?
It's a very short list.
They're going to send you to the dealer.
Yup.
A1, maybe it'll do it. They're going to charge you an arm and a leg.
Or Electric Laboratory might do it. Maybe.
Yeah, but
But you know what? They're a small shop, so you're going to be on a list.
Yeah, so
Gotta wait.
I was at in and out, and I was getting traffic. Started getting own a car, Western Motors, and then out of nowhere, boom, I get divorced.
Damn.
So it was just like, it was okay, and then boom. So here I go to Rasmussen's, and here I am now.
Damn.
But see, it all comes in when it's supposed to. I'm not saying being your own boss is
Well, it's the
it's like it's like with everything in life. There's ups and downs, okay? The stress will fuck you over.
oh fuck yeah.
In a mental way. Dude, I used to wake up fucking at 3 a.m, like looking for fucking tools and shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't.
And my
don't
wife
got-
would be like, "What are you doing in the kitchen, shuffling through the knives?" "Oh, I'm looking for a 15." She's like, "You need to go to fucking sleep." It's bad.
You start working in your sleep.
And then the customers, the fucking customers. This is how I know. This is why I know 90% of Rusty's stress and frustration isn't from us. It's from the customers.
Hells yeah. The Ever Since Club is getting new members every day.
Is my car ready? When's my car done? You said today. You said yesterday. You said this. You said that. Why is it so much? Oh, it's done.
Oh my god.
It's your car's done. It's ready for pickup. Oh, well, now I don't have the money.
Oh, dude. Yes. Yes. I have heard that conversation in the office several times.
And I've lived it. And then, what do? You can't do anything. Oh,
do
I'm going to put a fucking lien on your car. Well, now you have another problem.
Not only that, but we live in California, and California loves to protect people from contracts that they sign.
Yeah. So what? Guess what? Now you have another problem. Now you have to give them their car and not get paid.
Yeah, you gotta take it to small claims.
Well, guess what?
Now you got fucking more paperwork you gotta fill out.
Guess what? How do you explain that to your bill for pro demand, for your internet, for your parts that you put on that car?
Your suppliers.
You got to pay your employees. You got to pay yourself.
Yeah.
It's just stress. And now guess what? I clock in, work, clock out, and go home. Now I don't got to deal with customers.
See, that's the give and take, man. That's the give and take. Everyone wants to be their own boss until they realize all the shit a boss does.
I can't leave at 1:30 to pick up my son like I used to from school. That kills me sometimes. But the time I spend with my son now, I don't have Letitia, Juan, Michael in the back of my head. Fuck, I need to finish the car tomorrow, and I can't even enjoy the time with my son.
The quality's higher.
Yeah.
The quality's higher.
And now,
exactly what you mean.
Now it's none of that. Now I get to spend quality time with my son. Even though it's 3 hours, but you got to keep something in mind.
It's a strong 3 hours.
Something that I learned a long time ago. And I had this discussion with my wife. Oh, I'm with them all day and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look, they still come to me for everything and they value me more. And I'm not just speaking for me as a dad, but this is for everybody needs to understand this, whoever has kids. It's not the quantity of time you spend with them. It's the quality of time you spend with the kids.
Definitely.
I could be with them all day and not show them or teach them a single fucking thing.
Definitely.
But in those 3 hours that I'm with them, it's just me and them. And they will remember that more than if they see your ass all day screaming at them, telling them to do this, telling them to do that, or just seeing you on your phone laying down. No, it's not about that. It's not the amount of time you're with them. It's the quality of time you're with them.
Yeah, and that's something I try to keep in mind with myself. I mean, I've got it much easier. Beth is home with Lily, but with scheduling, between the time everything finally settles in, I'm usually not, settled in for the night until 6:30, 7. And then Lily goes to bed at 8. So right now they're doing bring down to put Lily in bed.
Yeah.
And so but I try to get as much out of that hour and a half as possible. And the weekends, I try to shut the world out. And that's kind of where it's like, when I've dabbled a lot in self-employment, trying to nickel and dime my way out of employment and into self-employment.
Yeah.
I've had a dozen jobs, but I've had at least 2 dozen which I might call cottage industry ideas that I've
Okay.
tried to grow out
Yeah.
into things. You know, I mean, I did Amway for 2 or 3 years, man. I was fucking trying everything.
Well, I mean, as long as you keep that hustler mentality, you're always gonna find a way. But
But
don't feel guilty if you can't spend the time you want to spend with her now, because you having that guilt in you when you're with her can affect the quality of time you're spending with her. Just know the time will come to when you get your fair share of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, because sometimes I do that because we'll be like going to Walmart and it's like, wow, this is how I'm spending my Saturday with her? Running errands? Like, how special is this? It's not. It's just fucking running errands. But
see, and that's destroying that bond. That's destroying that quality that you. I don't care if I'm cleaning the yard with my kids. They're gonna remember that.
yeah.
You shouldn't care if you're running errands with her. She's gonna remember that.
Yeah.
Kids aren't in the same state of mind that we are in.
No, you're right.
To them, they just want to be with you. They don't care what you're doing, but they want to be with you and make sure they're getting your attention.
Yeah.
And that's the key. They have your attention because kids are smart. They see when they have your attention, when they don't.
That's why some kids will lash out. I was that kid. I did all kinds of stupid things just to get attention.
Exactly. And that's why the majority of the kids lash out, because they see that they're not getting the attention they want from you.
Yeah.
Because guess what? We're on the couch like this, and they're over there screaming, throwing things, and hey, stop, calm down. And we tell them that, and they keep doing it. Why? Because they want us to do this, stand up, and dance to that video with them.
Well, I mean, even before smartphones, I mean, my parents, delving into my childhood a little bit, I just often enough didn't feel like I was getting the attention I needed, the attention I wanted. More the attention I wanted than I needed, because I don't know what I actually needed as a kid, because I'm a kid and kids don't know what they need.
Yeah, exactly.
But I did all kinds of stuff, but it was a problem before smartphones. It was...
I mean, I feel like it's been a problem ever since this society's existed, to where we have all these amenities now.
It's been a problem since the 95 was invented.
I feel like it's been a problem since we've had a roof over our head, and we're not in tents and teepees and caves anymore.
Yeah.
Imagine how much people would bond back then, when it was just, hey, we all got to gather around this big fire because it's the only way we keep warm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Materialism has definitely destroyed a number of things.
So how do you say go to your room back then?
Go
under your rock.
I mean, if you want a good example of that,
You can take one log to keep you warm. You don't get 3 today. You get 1 log.
I mean, if you want a good example of children remembering moments forever, the Little House series, Laura Ingalls Wilder. I mean, everyone knows Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
It's probably the most famous one, but that's only book 3 out of 5. It was a whole series she did about her childhood.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's incredible to hear somebody remember all these little things from when they were a kid. And she remembers exactly what her parents were doing. She's maybe 6 or 7 at the time, but she remembers everything her parents were doing. She remembers watching her mom and dad build a cabin, the Little House on the Prairie. Her parents moved out into the middle of freaking nowhere during the Western expansion.
Yeah.
They moved into Indian territory, which is probably like, I don't know, Nebraska, Oklahoma back then, whatever state it happened to be, but it was Indian territory at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the Indians that came by their house actually spoke French. So it was shortly after, that tells me it was shortly after what am I looking for? Louisiana Purchase. So that's, that's the Midwest, right after we bought it, and that's 1803.
Yeah.
So covered wagons, going out into the middle of nowhere to build a house out of logs, living in a covered wagon.
How awesome is that?
As far as family bonding, great. As far as actual living conditions, horrible. Because mom almost dies because she almost broke her leg. Like they were lifting the logs to put their house together, and
Well, I'm sure
one of them
there's
slipped and almost crushed her leg.
Well, there was probably a smart way to do it, and then probably both being that they had no experience working with stuff like that. It makes sense.
I mean, they almost drowned crossing a river.
Yeah. So you see.
You can't romanticize the good old days too badly.
Yeah.
If you watch 1883, one of the prequels to Yellowstone.
Okay.
Yeah, watch 1883 and just take a shot every time somebody dies. You will be almost dead by the end. If you, what's the word I'm looking for? Binge watch that and just take a shot every time somebody dies.
I wouldn't make it through half the movie.
You'll be fucking dead, dude. You'll be dead before they reach Oregon. Actually, they don't reach Oregon.
Grab another one.
I'm still working on this one. But, yeah, you can't romanticize, the good old days too much there. I mean, well, I do some of that when I was talking to 20-somethings. Yeah. Talk about the 90s.
Yeah.
That I kind of accidentally omit certain things.
Cheers.
Salut. I gotta learn what the Welsh saying is. I've been slowly trying to learn Welsh. And every once in a while, I just scream random things at Steven.
You know, I started getting into the habit of doing that too. Because he said something the other day, and I just blurted something random out, and he just looked at me like, okay.
What I love, just yell something random but benign at him.
Yeah.
Das ist Wasser und Brot!
Yeah, he has a response for everything.
Oh, yeah? That's usually his response. Yeah. Oh, yeah?
No, but see, you can't beat yourself up over that. Just let it run its course, man.
Yeah.
You could only do
so much.
What you know.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to do more than what you know. So, and
one thing... there's a caveat to that. You should always be learning.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying what you're doing to your little one. You're learning, but you're not going to experiment with her. To an extent. Correction. So
I experiment with how to be a proper father with her all the time because she is always changing.
Yeah.
Children are forever changing. They're just constant. Their interests, their habits, the way they react to things constantly freaking changes. And so you've got to constantly adjust.
Well, you got to understand they have a personality as well. Just how we wake up some days and we're like,
screw this, screw that, screw you.
Nobody talk to me. They're the same way.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
But see, they're going to remember the times that you think they're not going to remember. And the reason why I say it is because, okay, I have 4 kids. They're all different. All right? They all have their personality and their way of being.
Keep track of 4 kids, man.
So, but one thing they all have in common and keep in mind is they all want to go fishing and camping because I've implemented what I was taught. You know what? My dad, dude, I was always out of trouble. I never have gotten into a fist fight in my life.
Really?
Never.
Damn. Good. Because it sucks.
I've never done drugs besides alcohol. And I've been around people that done drugs. I grew up in I lived in Oakland.
And you made it out without extra holes?
I went to school in Oakland and didn't get in a fight.
That's impressive.
And I got picked on. I was bullied.
That is deeply impressive. Yeah, I would have started swinging. I did start swinging.
But see, my dad implemented this thing in my head. Say, when somebody offers you a drug and you say no, oh, you're a pussy. Yeah, I'm a pussy. Still not going to do it. You know, the word is stronger mentally than physically. Could you remember every single time your dad cussed you out?
No.
But you could remember the majority of times he hit you, right?
No. Well,
the majority of, I'm talking about the getting hit in a disciplined matter where it was to an extreme extent where you fucked up and you remember that.
To put context into that without ruining my dad's name. My dad went through when I was about 10. My parents divorced when I was 10.
Okay.
I had a very kind of an odd upbringing. My parents divorced when I was about 9 or 10. I was in 4th grade. The year of 4th grade will forever be burned into my brain because that was the year everything changed.
So some kind of trauma went into that.
It was a year of rebirth and upheaval because my dad was physically and mentally abusive and my mom was kind of checked out.
Okay.
So if I could, to try and remember every time my dad beat me in a disciplinary way, it would have to be like some sort of hypnosis, and you better bring a piece of some fucking paper with you to write it down.
Okay. So to put into perspective what I was trying to get at
But
is...
he had to go, I don't want to murder my dad's reputation but he explained to me that the mind is a tape recorder and you only know what you know unless you learn something different.
Yeah.
Because that was how his parents treated him.
Yeah.
He was an only child, and his parents, especially his dad, they used to take turns on him. If he screwed up, they would grab the belt and take turns. Now, I only got it from him. I didn't get it from my mom, but she never really stopped him. At least not that I know of. Maybe she did. I just don't remember.
Maybe she had no control over it.
Maybe she had no control over it. A lot of it happened while she was out at work for the day, because my dad alternated between working at night and being unemployed.
Yeah.
He did a lot of janitorial jobs, and most of those are at night. So he was often home during the day or just unemployed. And so, when my parents divorced, the three of us got put into a foster home for a year. And they told us it was going to be a couple days. CPS.
Oh,
CPS told us, just grab with you a few things. You'll only be gone a few days.
Yeah, they're like psych majors.
Fuck. Liars is what they are.
Yeah.
And so we got put into a foster home and it ended up being almost a year to almost a year to the day.
Wow.
Almost exactly. It was, it was like from October to October. And it's funny that I can remember it was October. But, he actually did live, and this is the SNL skit right here. My dad lived in a van down by the river.
Oh, wow.
When they divorced, because my mom was already having an affair.
Yeah.
And so he left town, decided screw all of this, left town, and finally got a job. He had worked for Arco gas stations.
Mm-hmm.
And they transferred him all the way out to the bustling town of Gustine, which is about 10 miles west of Firebaugh.
Yeah.
The middle of freaking nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even Gustine. It was the gas station on the periphery outside the edge of town of Gustine.
By the I-5?
By the I-5.
Yeah.
You had an Arco and a hotel. That was it.
Yeah.
And about 3 miles down a halfway, once upon a time paved road that's almost completely dirt, there was a mobile home park where my grandpa Ron lived.
Yeah.
So my dad was living in a van behind the gas station, and there was this swampy area back there. So my dad pretty much lived in a van down by the river, like the old Chris Farley skit. And in that time, he had to relearn how to be a human. They actually put him through that's what I'm looking for, therapy, counseling, shit like that. That basically he had to relearn how to interact with children.
Okay.
And how to critique what a child does. How to properly reprimand without destroying the child.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of my family background there. It gets pretty bad.
Well, to put into perspective what I was trying to explain is that I've realized to learn over the years that you can tell somebody something that'll hurt them for longer than actually hitting them.
Sometimes, yeah.
So, me growing up, I can't say I was a straight A student because I wasn't. I actually graduated from a charter school. But
It's getting cold. I'm gonna plug in that heater.
you just gotta open up your veins a little bit more.
Are you cold?
I'm alright.
Okay.
But
So you graduated from a charter school.
yeah, but see, the discipline was always there, and my dad wasn't. I mean, my dad was an alcoholic. He wasn't the best dad, but he showed me how to work, showed me how to be responsible, and kept me out of trouble.
Yeah.
I was never in jail. Like I said, never got into a fist fight. Had arguments. I had people pick on me, trying to fight me, but I never led them on to actually engage. And I feel like there's not a lot of people that can say that.
I can't.
And coming from a poor home, I mean, it was.
I saw it. Yeah, the Floridor house.
It was. No,
Or are you talking about in Oakland?
the Floridora house was decent compared to where I lived after that.
Fuck.
I moved to the west side of Fresno.
Fuck. Oh shit.
I was literally on
Which part?
Whitesbridge and Trinity. It was like, it's like 3 minutes away from Chandler Airport.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and then
That's
it was my house was next to an alley, and then you had a Legion there. And every Saturday there was motorcycle gatherings and shootings there.
Dang.
Every Saturday. And then it was territorial. So we had a park called Fink White, and then you had a street across from that street called Modoc. And Fink White was a gang and Modoc was a gang, and they were beefing at the time. So it was just shootings, killings every other week. And we grew up around this. And I ended up going to high school, Edison High School,
Yeah.
freshman and sophomore year. I was around drugs. I was around weed. I was around coke.
Dude, it's a fucking drug den.
I had
That whole neighborhood.
I had gang related friends everywhere. I had Crips friends, I had blood friends, I had Sureños, Norteños, you name it. But I was neutral. And everybody liked me because my dad always taught us to be humble. Always be humble, no matter what it is, just be humble, be yourself. Don't try to be more than you are. Don't show off. Just be yourself. So everybody liked me, my brothers, we're all the same. The first job I had, the very first job I had was at Hometown Buffet. Every time I got paid,
Yeah. I miss Hometown Buffet.
I had to give my check to my mom. All of it.
Seriously?
And then my dad would tell my mom, all right, get some money for the bills, get some money for the rent, and whatever's left over, give it to him for gas and food. And that's how it would go down. Out of $500 a week, I think I would see $150 back every check, and the rest was going to my mom.
Damn.
I was providing. I was the only one working.
I see. That's at least instills some pride that you were helping build the house up.
Well, I think my dad didn't do it to destroy me. He wanted to teach me responsibility the way he was taught, because he couldn't teach me more than he was taught. And for a long time, I hated my dad. My dad couldn't see eye to eye. And then one day, when I was working at that shop in Glendale, the Armenian guy came up to me. He tapped me on the shoulder like this. He was like, man, you're really good. He's like, whoever your father was, you're lucky to have a father like him. At the time, I didn't understand. I was young. I was like 23 years old. I was barely getting into partying. I was my dad, fuck my dad, he's the reason why I'm over here. We got into it.
So I kind of went through that earlier.
But over time, I kept getting these comments from, these are older people.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in their 50s and 60s. Man, how do you know so much? Dude, I haven't told you this. I know how to do body work. I know how to paint. I know how to... Dude,
Everything.
I can paint a car.
Yeah.
I can paint. I've replaced quarter panels, cut them off, welded the new one, re-seamed it, seam sealer, like it never happened. I have pictures and videos to prove it. And my dad showed me all this. And when people would come up to me left and right, and one day I was sitting down, I was 23 years old, making good money in Glendale, in LA, surviving, and still having money left. You know how expensive LA is, right?
Fuck yeah.
I sat down one day and it just all hit me. My dad is the reason I know how to do what I know how to do. Because he pushed me. He pushed me to the edge, almost to the brink of me folding, but he never let me fold. Every time I realized, every time my dad would see me sink to where I was up to here, he would pull me out and then let me sink again and pull me out. And one day we had a conversation and I was like, why did you treat me like that? He's like, because I seen a lot in you that I didn't see in your other brothers. Your intelligence, your drive. He's like, you're a hustler.
You've got that drive.
He's like, I've always seen that in you, and I wanted to make you the best you could be yourself, and I never gave you anything for the same reason. My dad never gave me a car. I bought cars off my dad. He gave my brother a car. He let him have a couple cars. If I wanted a car, because my dad used to buy cars at the auction and flip them. Okay. If I wanted a car, I had to buy it from him. And it would hurt me. I would cry all night. Why doesn't my dad like me? But it's not that he didn't like me. He just wanted me to be better. And because he realized that he fucked up with my other brother, and he didn't want to do the same mistake again with me, because I'm the second born.
Okay.
So
you're number 2 out of 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then he started treating me different than he treated my first brother, and then he treated my other brothers different. But then at the last one, he kind of went back to babying him again. So the first one and the last one are babied, and they're the worst off. And
that's the dynamic, man.
Me and the middle one, treated the worst, were the best off.
See, it's that middle kid thing, man. Because I'm the middle of 3.
There you go.
I feel you, bro.
There you go.
I feel you.
There you go.
My brother is tall. He was blonde-haired, blue-eyed, tall, muscular. He got the good genes, dude.
Yeah.
And which I don't know where the fuck he got these genes, dude. Because I'm looking at him.
Grandpa.
Well, he's my half brother.
Yeah.
And so he had a different dad. But I saw, it's like, I don't know where the fuck he got these genes. Because unless Jack was a really good looking man when he was young. Because when I only saw him when he was old and frumpy and fat. My mom is short and round.
Yeah.
And bless her heart, she's always been short and round.
Yeah.
So my brother is just tall and muscular. It's
wow.
Like, where did this come from? It don't add up. But so, and so he gets all this respect, and he has that smoothness. Like, he was the born salesman. He could sell just about anything.
Yeah.
And so like I saw this, and every time, the school sales thing, go out and sell candy bars, go out and sell whatever. He always did pretty good at those. And he could talk to people. He always had girlfriends. He could spit game like none other, dude. He had a new girlfriend. Like, if a girl dumped him Monday, by Tuesday afternoon, he had a new girlfriend.
Wow.
If he waited that long, he could have another one Monday afternoon.
He probably had them lined up already.
Probably, man.
Yeah.
But he could just spit game. Me, I could barely look a girl in the eye during most of my childhood.
Yeah. My
sister, so you've got him, me, and my sister. Mama's baby. She's a little girl.
Yeah.
That little darling, the princess.
Yeah.
Could do no fucking wrong. She's still cleaning up behind my brother. She's still cleaning up behind my sister. I gotta pick up my own fucking mess.
Yeah.
But you know what? I got the last laugh. I'm the only one that owns a house.
There you go.
Out of the 3, I'm the only one that's got a successful life, a fucking a successful marriage.
Yes.
I own a house. My brother lives in his fucking 18-wheeler.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've had this conversation with him many times, and he knows it on an academic level that he knows. No, he doesn't live in his house. He doesn't have a house. His wife and her kids have a house that he pays for. He lives in his truck.
Yeah.
He's an over-the-road driver. He's home like 2 days a month.
Wow.
My sister lives with her husband's parents in a fucking little Section 8 house that it's like a 3-bedroom house. You've got 7 people in a 3-bedroom house.
Wow. It's just like it's a circle of life. I've been off by myself fucking years now.
So
The only one in the family that graduated from high school and went to college and got a degree too was me.
So I didn't go to I went to college twice, and the first time I flunked out was aviation school. I flunked out of that.
It was hard. I'm not gonna lie.
No doubt, man.
You know what kept me going?
Sheer fucking willpower.
I gotta prove to my dad that I'm not a piece of shit. That's the only thing that kept me going. But when I had to build my own circuit board and learn all these formulas, dude, I could fill a table with formulas.
Oh fuck.
Of electricity.
Yeah. I forgot all that.
My brain was smoking, but you know what? I did it. And
see, my dad had to hit rock bottom to be my father, I'll put it to you this way. My father had to hit rock bottom to become the dad I needed. And I'll hold dad as a title. Just like mom.
Yeah.
Anybody can be a father or a mother.
Yeah.
If you've got the right plumbing, you can be one of those. You can give birth or you can conceive.
Yeah.
But to become mom or dad, you got to earn that.
Yeah, of course.
You got to freaking earn that.
Yeah, you do.
Because you get it daily. You've got to earn that shit.
Yeah, you do.
And so my father had to hit rock bottom, living in a van down by the river. Chris Farley for the win.
Yes.
To become the dad I needed. Because he came back to town when I was in junior high. When you started describing the neighborhood you lived off, out there at Whitesbridge, I knew what you're talking about. And all the trouble at Edison, because I went to Carver Academy.
Okay.
That's where, if you applied the Computech and failed, that's where they sent the Computech cast-offs. Yeah, the Computech cast-offs. Shithole. It was a shithole, dude. And so my bus, I would go and walk, and the bus would pick us up, the school bus, from Lions Park and drop us off at Edison.
Oh, Lions Park was horrible back then.
Oh, it was badass back then, dude. Lions Park was awesome.
Yeah, depends what you say for awesome is. But
it was better then. At least they had the freaking swing set. Now it's a skate
I'm talking
park.
about it was a lot of activities there all the time.
Well,
like,
yeah.
A lot of fights, a lot of like drug dealing and shit.
Oh, yeah. Especially right there. That was the beginning of the decay. The late 90s was the beginning of the decay right there with, what's it, West Park? West Point? Those big
West Point.
West Point apartments?
Yeah.
And the townhouses right next to those. One step over.
Yeah.
Fairmont and Holt. That was the beginning of the decay. That was when they started putting Section 8 in those areas.
Okay.
So it kind of started that.
Yeah, once you put Section 8 anywhere, that's when it all. Yeah.
It doesn't even circle the drain. It just cannonballs off down in.
Yeah, it's like eating Taco Bell.
Ah.
Anyways,
I like Taco Bell, man.
So,
but when my dad came back,
yeah,
he was the dad I needed because he had learned all those life lessons. It had been burned into him. He trialed by fire. So he came back, reconstructing his life, crashing on a friend's couch, got this little beat-up Toyota pickup truck, and started delivering newspapers.
Okay.
See, it's from there, talking about that strong father that lets you fail, that I learned to struggle and that you can rebuild from anything.
That's a really good example, honestly. Like,
you can rebuild from anything.
That's such, I mean, that you got to experience that. I believe that's the majority of the reason. The way you express it is led you to where you are now.
Yeah. One thing that
because I can tell it's embedded in your head.
The one thing we did that, like, I still can't wrap my mind around this.
Because it's okay to make a mistake.
Yeah. Well,
But are you going to learn from it?
Yeah.
That's the real question. Are you going to learn from it?
Yeah. I mean, it's just the law of probability. Whether or not you damage a vehicle while you're working on it, it's the law of probability. You're going to. You touch enough things, you will break something. I've learned that. So you can't take every mistake as a personal, oh, I'm no good. I screwed up. I broke this thing. I'm horrible.
Nobody's perfect.
You know, it's just just the law of probability.
But you know how I approach things when I break them?
Well, that broke.
Like, it's like the day that I left at my first, I think it was my third job there. You know, they order those hoses from the dealer and they come with those clamps not released, and you got to release them.
Pre-attached and you got to release them. Yeah, yeah.
I forgot to release one of them, and the hose popped off on Tim, and you know, kind of overheated, and they had to tow it back and stuff.
Oops.
Rusty came up to me, showed me the picture, and I was like, oh. He's like, yeah, it's a rookie move. I'm like, well, I'm no rookie. He's like, okay. He went in his office, and I went up to him, and I told him, hey, where's the truck at? He's like, oh, it's out back. I was like, I'm going to clock out and charge me for the coolant.
Damn, that's a pro gamer move.
I clocked out, went out there, fixed it, and paid him for the coolant.
Wow. Damn.
And every time.
I don't think he expected that.
And every time, I haven't broke nothing there yet. But see, I'm the type of person that if I break something, I'm going to go up to you and tell you, order it, I'm going to pay for it. And I'll pay for it. Because that's just the way I was taught. It's okay to make a mistake, but fix your fucking mistakes.
Yeah. You got to wipe your own ass.
And we don't all have maybe the capital, you could say. I'm not saying I have money, because I don't have money like that, honestly. I live the same way you live, you know?
Yeah.
We're fucking waiting for that check at the end of the week.
I seen your house, bro. I seen your neighborhood.
But at the end of the day, like, if I have it.
Oh, shit. When did that? I thought that. Oh, man. Hang on. I gotta switch to memory cards.
We will now have a short intermission.
Does those headphones say Zelda on them?
Yeah.
I love Zelda.
Oh, you and Beth would talk for days about that game.
The Ocarina of Time, man. The Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina. No. Oh, God. Stop. I'm going to record you doing that. Do it.
No.
Oh, you cheat. Oh, shit. I forgot to hit record on the recorder.
It's all right.
Okay, so you just asked me about what I believe in happens in death. We'll recap here because I forgot to hit the recorder.
It's all right.
So
it's alcohol. It's Friday.
No, Beth is going to laugh at me because that's probably about the third or fourth time this has happened. To where I've been out here with somebody and we've taken breaks and I forgot to hit record either on the camera or the audio. And it's usually the audio. No, she's going to laugh at my... And she's right, because she sent me a text earlier when we were setting up the initial setup.
Don't forget to hit record.
Yes! God.
I forgot again. Okay,
I am never going to hear the end of this, and she's right to revert me.
So, okay, what happens when you die? You say your interpretation of death, depending on how you want to see it, is you're basing it off memory and consciousness, right?
Yeah. So when your corporeal form, this ceases to function.
Okay.
Yeah. This ceases to function and no longer be a viable vessel for your spirit energy. I can't help but believe that spirit energy will carry on because of the three forms of memory: genetic, personal, genetic, and spirit. So, what your personal memory is what's happened to you in this lifespan, in this carnation, this cycle, whatever you want to call it.
But sorry to cut you off, but we can't really make that a relevance, because let's say you do reincarnate, you're not going to remember anything.
Not easily. Some people have. There's been a lot of experimentation. Earlier, you asked me about Beth. With Wicca, there has been a lot of people experimenting with past life regression, and
I want to hit that again. I want to hit that right now again. But what I want to get at is, okay, very simple, cut and dry.
I'll try.
Energy can't be created or destroyed, right?
According to the laws of physics as we know it.
And we are energy.
Is consciousness a form of energy?
No, it's proven we're energy. We have some kind of electrical circuit connection, whatever you want to call it, inside of us, 24/7. You could take a voltmeter and we'll read some kind of.
Well, yeah, neurological activity is neurological activity is an electrical signal traveling through your.
We have
nerves.
Energy inside of us. Period.
Yes.
We cannot be created or destroyed. Our soul, what people call consciousness, cannot be created or destroyed. When you hit that light switch and that light starts emitting, it starts bouncing off everywhere. That molecule of light cannot be destroyed or created. It's going to keep bouncing until it finds its way out of this room.
Or gets absorbed into something.
Even then, it's not going to get destroyed.
No, it just changes form.
Yeah.
Usually in the form of heat.
So, yeah, I believe in reincarnation, but I believe it as a more controlled. Don't say aliens. I believe it as a more controlled.
What? What did I do?
As a more controlled state of being. I believe we're all in school, and we're all depending on how you treat your consciousness in this life. Depends if you're either going to move up in consciousness or go down in consciousness. Because everything is energy. Everything is energy and waveforms and frequencies. Everything. The reason why we're even talking right now or hearing each other or even vibing is based off energy. And everything in this world revolves around energy. So, yeah, our physical form, just like everything in this life that you can touch, feel, will come to an end. But what happens when this comes to an end? It gets recycled, gets reused, turned into something else. Same thing with us. Eventually,
the conservation of data, the law of conservation of
eventually data. We're going to move on, and nothing's perfect. We know that. So yeah, there's glitches in this world. That's why some people come back and remember their past life. There was this experiment. It's a.
Oh, there's been a lot of experiments.
It's actually this was actually more of a. You can say, a wonder. This kid. I think he was about 6 years old, 5 years old. I could be wrong because I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. Told his mom one day, like in a nutshell, pretty much was telling his mom where he died and where he lived.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually flew out to that island, and everything he said was there where it was. Some shit had to get him buried. Some stuff they had to go back into history and look at it, but he was correct in everything he was saying. And there's no way this kid could have traveled there and came back and known all this information.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Based off just him reading or even researching at that age.
I've seen things like that. I'm a stone cold believer in things like that because that happened to my niece when she was. Oh God, Beth would know this better than me. But when our niece was like 2, 3, she had an imaginary friend that if you asked her about her, she would just be like go silent.
Yeah.
But we're pretty sure that was like a spirit guide, and that Lacey would sometimes say things like, no, remember when I was the mama and you were the baby? It was like, that never, what are you talking about? It's like she would say things that hinting to where that her and her mom had been tied together
Before.
in a previous life, but the roles were reversed.
And see,
and I've sometimes wondered about Lily. Beth and I have watched, we watch Lily all the time.
Yeah.
And because, there's maybe you could say a little bit of confirmation bias. Like we want to believe in these things, so we look for clues of it.
Okay.
And so a little bit of confirmation bias in that. And I'll own that. But there are certain things. It's like Lily could not have known that happens, that's what that's for, and yet she walks up to this thing and does it. A good example of that was that really, really old timey phones, long before like the phones from the 90s. You pick it up, doop 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 doop. No, before that. You had the thing on the wall, and you took it down, and you cranked the handle. Hello, Central, are you on? You speak into this little thing, and then that's all there is just this little thing that you speak into.
I never even seen one of those personally.
They have one. You see them in museums every once in a while. You can see photos of them online.
I'm pretty sure I've seen pictures of them, but to recall something like that.
Have you seen one in or not? Well, I've never actually gotten to use one, but there is one out at the Kearney Mansion. It's
I've been out there, but I haven't been in there.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
I need to go.
You need to go in the mansion, take the tour. They have a self-guided tour that you can do. You read the thing and you walk through it. And on the second floor, right at the end of the staircase, I think it's the second floor, just a little bit to the right, in a niche in the wall behind glass is one of those phones.
Oh, wow.
It's great. The whole Kearney Park is fantastic and it's beautiful.
The reason he built Kearney Boulevard with all those palm trees so his daughter could walk. She had skin cancer.
Really?
So she could walk up and down without getting sick. That's the reason why there's so many palm trees there.
I never heard that.
For shade. That's what I heard from somebody that knows the history about it.
I don't know, man. Because that wasn't even for him to live in. That was for the caretaker.
Yeah, but his daughter was there.
For the caretaker's daughter?
Something along that lines. But there was a little girl that had skin cancer or had some kind of sickness that the sun couldn't hit her that much, and the reason why he put all those palm trees down that boulevard was so she could walk up and down without getting sick. Story be told, don't quote me on that. I don't know.
That's the rumor.
That's the rumor.
That's the rumor. Okay, we read it on Facebook.
And sometimes at night, you can see her there if you drive.
Yeah, I've heard of the white lady in white walking up and down Kearney, but okay. What was I saying? But yeah, there's.
But going back to that, somebody also told me a story, and there's so much people. I talked to a lot of people about different shit that I don't remember their names, but we can always look them up. There was this lady who had a baby, and the little girl was already probably about 4 years old. She could already talk to her mom, but the little girl was sick, and I think she was on her deathbed. And the little girl told the mom before she died. She's like, "Why are you crying, Mom?" And she was like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna miss you." She's like, "It's okay, Mom. I'll come back. I'll come back just for you." The little girl died. Well, years passed. Woman ended up getting pregnant again. The little girl grew up and everything. And one time they were playing, and the woman says that the little girl told her. She's like, "See, Mom, I told you everything was gonna be okay. I told you I'd come back." The same statement.
Wow.
From when that little girl died. Dude, when they were telling me the story, it's chills everywhere. And it's just like, from what I understand, and I've talked to a lot of fucking crazy people. Yeah, I can't call them crazy, but because they have such good information that just makes a lot of sense.
I don't know. Some people are freaking crazy.
From what I understand, when you die, your subconsciousness, your energy, your soul goes into the fourth dimension. Okay? In the fourth dimension, you have an option. Like I said, it's like a school. You have an option. You want to move on to a different body start your life all over again and get another shot at becoming a millionaire or becoming something different? Do you want to stay here and wait for your family so you can see them again? Or do you want to go back? So you get options, from what I understand. And I'm making it seem like it's like somebody there talking to you, but it's more on a higher consciousness level, to where you can choose and manipulate your energy, because in the third dimension it's one thing, in the fourth dimension the laws of physics change.
Definitely.
So this is all subconscious and conscious. So I feel like the people that come back or want to come back or want to relive something, they do it. And it's been proven, because I mean, dude, I've seen people that look like other people that are dead and act the same way.
Okay, there's an asterisk to that.
And they act the same way, and I'm just like, I could have sworn I met this person before. Yeah. And it's not deja vu. Fuck that. I mean, I'm not saying I don't believe in deja vu, but it's just like, I know you from somewhere. I've seen you before. And you can never figure out who they are. Yeah. And I know it's happened to you. It's happened to everybody.
Similar things have happened to me. And some of what you're saying, okay, about when you die, you go through the thing and you've got choices, or the best example that I can think of that was given to me. Do you read Sylvia Browne by any chance?
No.
You should. You'd like her books.
Okay.
Because a lot of what she did, if you just Google, I think it's the Akashic Records.
Yeah.
Or Google some of her works, I think you'll really fall in love.
Okay.
With what she did. Beth was reading a lot of her books. We went and saw one of her talks. I wasn't interested in it at the time, so a lot of it just kind of went over my head, which was dumb of me, because now I'm playing catch up.
Okay.
I was so nose to the grindstone at the time, man. Yeah. I was working 2 jobs, and sometimes
makes sense.
Working 2 jobs or 3 jobs or 2 jobs and going to school at night. So I was so nose to the grindstone that spirituality just didn't even register on me. Yeah. And especially, so she's always been more spiritually inclined, in tuned than I am. So now I'm playing catch up.
Yeah.
That when you die, you go through a corridor, and you've got these options to either stay there and experience that, or wait for people, or you can go back and reincarnate and choose. You can choose what adventure you're going to have next. Mm-hmm. I think the example was she gave, if I remember, if it was her, is like almost like a bus terminal.
Okay.
And that you get there and you can choose which bus to go on, or you can go outside and play in the park and wait for everyone else to get there. Yeah. But it's kind of like that. And you're right that the fourth dimension is hard to wrap your mind around, because time becomes cyclical and space is infinite and yet contractible at the same time. You can go through a doorway and it's a different freaking planet.
Yeah.
And time is cyclical. Like she uses the example of, if you're in there at space and you want to go to a lecture, like some philosopher is giving a lecture on something and you've missed it, just wait, it'll come back around.
Exactly.
Time is in the fourth dimension. Time is cyclical, or the spirit dimension is cyclical, and also space doesn't matter. You can think about being somewhere, take a few steps, and you'll be there.
You'll be there. Yeah.
So it's hard to wrap our mind, living in this 3-dimensional world. It's a little hard to wrap our minds around. Neil deGrasse Tyson gives the example of Monsters Inc.
Well, you got to think about it. We started off, me and you started off in the first dimension.
A singular point. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we went to the second. Now we're in the third. The fourth is where you die. Not die, but the fourth is where you get into consciousness, and then it grows from there. So 5th, 6th, 7th, we don't know what's there, because maybe we're choosing to come back for love. Maybe we're choosing to stay, or maybe we barely got out of the second. We don't know yet. And that's
or some there's also some gatekeepers, I imagine, saying, "Nah, man, you stay there until you get it right."
that's what I'm saying, because all the
You ain't ready
the
to level up.
murderers, the killers, the rapists,
Yeah, the dark.
they don't get to
entities.
level up.
No. They
So
go-
maybe
go right
we
back.
could have been one of those in the first or second dimension, and we're just fucking up, and we don't know. But point being is, death has been put into us as like, oh, you're gonna die and that's it, you know, like that's the thing here. You die and that's it. You don't take nothing with you. But I feel like a lot of
Not
people
really, man.
I feel like, but see, we understand it, but I feel like a lot of people out there don't understand that, and they rush their lives, and they just want, like, oh, I want to do everything I can now because I'm never gonna get a chance again. But see, nothing's infinite, but everything's forever. Doesn't make sense, right? Because death doesn't either.
It's very it's very contradictory there, but I think I can see where you're going. Yeah, a lot of people are stuck in the mundane of the day to day, and that's what. As much as I have qualms with organized religion is supposed to be that sense of forever.
Religion is a form of control. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Religion is a form of control.
Amen.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We can all believe what we want.
Organized religion is a branch of the government. It just is.
Exactly. We can all believe what we want, but at the end of the day, religion was made to control people to a certain extent and have them not lose their mind.
Yes. As many people have asked, it's like, oh, but Christ, look at this and Christ that. It's like, yeah, we're not talking about Christ on this one. Religion being a form of control. Look at the Vatican. Yeah. Tell me, where in the freaking Bible does it describe St. Peter's Basilica? Where does it describe conclave? Where does it describe the Pope?
Well, your answer to everything is in the first chapter in Genesis. And God created the human out of nothing.
Yeah, and no, well, he created a human out of the dust of the earth. But even then, I've always...
Well, I think it's specific to... Well, not specific, but it hints at nothing, right?
In the end, in the beginning, there was void, and then he created the light and the dark, and then he created the heavens and the earth, and then he created the waters and the trees. And then on the sixth day, he created man.
From what, though?
Dust.
And the definition of nothing means it doesn't exist.
A void, yeah.
So you can't create something that doesn't exist. It's contradicting. Right off the back, it's contradicting. And then I'm going to go at them because I studied this religion, and I'm going to go hard because they kicked me out. The Jehovah's Witnesses.
Go for it.
Jehovah, everything. Well, Jehovah...
Yeah, everything is faith in God.
Jehovah was first, and then came Jesus, right? According to Jehovah?
I haven't had much time with Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay.
I usually just kind of laugh at them.
When did Jesus come in?
According to our calendar, approximately 0 AD. Or 1 AD.
But Jehovah was first, right? According to the Bible.
Okay, so is Jehovah the name for God in this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So God was first, right? And then he sent Jesus?
Much later, but yes.
Incorrect. When God was saying that he was making this and this and that, and then when he stated, or when the Bible stated, I'm not gonna say God stated this. When the Bible stated, and let's create the human in our image, it's plural for two people. Who was the other person there? Jesus has been there since the beginning next to God.
No, because it's singular, and God created man.
No,
He
it
created
states,
Adam.
let's create the human in our image. Those are the words taken right out of the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah, there's two creation stories in Genesis, chapter 1. There's two. God plays favorites.
Exactly.
There's two, because he describes making the world, and then he goes back and describes that as he's building the Garden of Eden and makes Adam and Eve.
Out of our image. So who was the other person there? Because he was never described.
I'll go one further to underscore further evidence to that. Okay, Adam and Eve are the only people. They're in Garden of Eden. Eve baits the apple, convinces Adam to do it too. They blah blah blah. God gets mad at him, kicks him out of there. They're forbidden. They're sentenced to the land of Nod. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And in there, they're toiling and toiling and toiling. Because remember, God is love, and He forgives all, except for if you've eaten from the tree of knowledge, because that really pisses Him off.
Sorry. But if you knew I was going to do it, why did you allow me to do it?
It's like, God forgives all, except for that, apparently.
So they couldn't have never been forgiven.
Yeah.
And because of them, now we got to pay the price?
I guess.
So
Talk about sins of the father, but also going further, Cain and Abel.
Okay.
Here's where you're right, that there was definitely other people created before Adam and Eve. This proves it, that there were other people.
Yeah.
Emphatically. Cain kills Abel. Cain is found guilty. Cain is exiled. Cain goes off into the whatever land. Comes back years later with wife and children. Where'd he get a wife from? He comes back with his followers, the Canaanites. Where did he find followers?
Oh, well, all that you're asking?
Yeah.
Those testaments were lost.
Oh, isn't that convenient?
I'm sorry. I think they got caught in the fire.
Oh, isn't that convenient?
Sorry.
Yeah, the fire of Alexandria, I guess.
We don't have no answers. But hey, you're asking too much questions, so we can no longer have you in the kingdom of Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
And that's how I was kicked out of there.
Faith makes a habit of not thinking.
So I was literally kicked out by the ancestors. And
so wait.
Just because I questioned that, and also because I questioned the dinosaurs. And Jehovah's Witnesses rule, and all these people that are Jehovah's Witnesses are going to say no. They're probably not even allowed to watch YouTube. But they're going to say no. You're wrong. It doesn't stay. It stays like that. Dude, they study out of a Watchtower comic book that's based off the Bible. Every week they have a different Watchtower little 10-page book or whatever you want to call it.
I've seen those.
You know where the Watchtower is based off?
In
Seattle. Owned by the government. Actually, no. They're in Washington.
Yes, Seattle, Washington.
Watchtower.
Seattle, Washington.
The Watchtower, though.
Okay.
And they're the ones that are interpreting whatever's coming out of the Bible into these books, and that's what the Jehovah's Witnesses slowly, every meeting, every week, we would get on these Watchtower books and read off of them and believe whatever they were saying. So when I started asking questions, they just kicked me out and told me, you're not supposed to question the Word of God. Well, I'm not questioning the Word of God. I'm questioning the book of Watchtower.
I'm questioning this book that was handed me that was made by men.
Yeah, exactly. But yet you're saying I can't celebrate birthday parties because it was created by men. I can't celebrate
holidays
because they were man-made. Well, we're sitting in this church that's man-made, and I'm giving you money that's man-made.
Yes.
And you believe in these federal notes, but you don't believe in a birthday party?
Yeah.
Well, that's when somebody's head, Queen Elizabeth ordered somebody's head, giving her on her birthday. That's her birthday, not mine.
It's like Queen Elizabeth, the first. That was quite a long time ago. It's been a couple centuries.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got kicked out.
I mean, talk about bearing a grudge.
They couldn't have me there, and then it's just like, shouldn't we all be forgiven based off? Shouldn't we all be respected on what we would believe and think? If there was really a God, He should respect the way we feel and think, because at the end of the day, we're lost here in this world because of His kids' actions.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
So shouldn't we be allowed to believe and feel what we want and question what we want?
Oh, definitely. I mean, if not, what's the point of free will? What is the purpose of free will if not to question things?
Do you punish your kid because he questions things, or because he doesn't believe everything you tell him? Will you punish your kid for that? I wouldn't.
I try not to punish her for not believing it, but for not trusting me. But sometimes it's really hard. Lily, just Freaking put on your shoes.
Okay, but that's something that it's protecting her. I'm saying it in a
I know where you're going.
in a believable way. Like, you know what, Dad?
I haven't had that moment.
I don't completely believe that eating too much oranges is bad for me. Okay, you know what? You no longer deserve to live in my house. When you're 18 years old, you're going to be out on your own. And you're going to go live with the bums in downtown Fresno because you don't believe me.
You're going to live in a van
because
down by the river.
Because you don't believe me that too much oranges are bad for you. You're not going to do that to her.
No, I'm not. Well, I mean, she's only 7. I haven't had that moment with her, but I know what you're talking about. I see where you're going.
So why do we get punished just because we don't believe something that the government is telling us?
Because you shouldn't trust the government.
Exactly. So
we get punished for not obeying.
So do I hate religion? No. Do I believe it's a form of control? Yes. Do I believe there's a God? Explain your definition of God, because to me a God is something that you want to appraise. Okay? To me, honestly, I've told you before, your religion's aliens. You bullshit me. I believe in aliens. That's your faith. It just makes more sense to me that somebody, I'm gonna give you an example. If somebody got a monkey and a chimpanzee, put them in a fucking test facility, had babies, flew them out to Mars, gave them food, gave them a couple of plants, gave them a couple of tools, caves, whatever, left them there, flew away, and just kept coming down and observing what they were doing. Yeah, if they needed help, they would send somebody else. Yeah. And once they started growing, they just left them alone.
Yeah, they seeded the ant farm and let it play out.
I feel like that's...
See, I can kind of go with that. I can't go with the Mars thing, but
I'm not saying in Mars. I'm saying that that's what happened. That's how planet Earth got inhabited. Because, yeah, larvae, evolution. Okay, evolution exists. We all know that. Evolution exists 100%. But you're not going to take me away that somebody smarter than us made this happen right now where we're at. You're not going to take that away from me. For the simple fact that there's been so much experiences with people. I've personally experienced a UFO in my lifetime. And I have people with me to back it up.
Really? Now, you never told me that before.
Okay. One day, like I told you, me and my family, we've always been the camping type. Always. Get together, go fucking camping. Well, we had this spot up in Tracy, down by Modesto. It was private property. Okay? Right off the 152, San Joaquin River. We would literally cut the chain link to drive up in there in 4x4s. But it was like the nicest fucking camping spot you can imagine. It was sand, and the water would come in little waves. It was like a little beach, but with fresh water. You could fish there, everything. Okay, so you know how the fields, because it was next to some fields, because they would use the water to feed the crop.
Okay. They
built like this barricade just in case the water overflows. So the land is raised where they drive on.
Yeah.
So it was split. Yeah, it was split. Land raised here. We got crops over here, and the water was on this side.
Yeah.
So when the moon was bright, you could see that land, that piece of road made out of dirt that's been created. So right next to that, going on the downhill to go to the water, there was this pond there. And I remember this pond. Photographic memory. I have the best photographic memory. It was in a perfect circle with some huge trees surrounding it. Okay? The trees weren't perfectly circled, but the pond was. Like, not perfect, but you can say it was a circle. All right? And
so, like, somebody dug it out and filled it with water.
Somebody dug it out, and then the water just leaked in under and whatever, But there was frogs there, so I would always go out there and play with the frogs and try to fish there. Well, that night, we had got there late. It was me, my dad, and my mom, my brothers. My uncle, who lived in Oakland, met us out there with his family. So it was at least 20, 30 people there camping. It was all family, right? We're setting up our tents. It was getting late already. It was dark, but the moon was bright, and we would always go camping on a full moon, because that's when catfish come out. It's a Mexican myth. We believe there's more catfish activity when there's a full moon. So
okay. Well, I don't know much about fishing, so
that's what a lot of people believe. But anyways, so we had an uncle. Well, we have an uncle on my dad's side of the family who just wasn't afraid of the dark. Okay?
Okay.
I mean, this guy would go hunting for bunnies and stuff at 1 a.m. sometimes and bring them back, you know. Hence, we're always camping. So I remember we're setting up our tents, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna go get some firewood." So he starts walking towards the hill where the dirt road was. So he's walking east. That pond is south of him. You know, I got the moon, and we can see him from a far distance. And now looking over, and my brother's like, "Hey, you know, my uncle froze." And we all looked over, and he was just standing there like this, looking towards that pond, but just completely just not moving. And he was just standing there and we're like, "Hey," calling his name, "Hey." And he just went like this, just gave us hand signals.
Like, stay back, stay down.
Like just be quiet, like relax. And we all just shut up, and we looked over, and all I remember was hearing those trees move where that pond was. Like when a tree just shakes, like if there's an animal in it, you can hear the branches and all that clinging. And dude, we looked up because we seen something move like that. We all looked up. We all seen it. I got people to back my fucking story up.
Okay.
This fucking object was literally like 300 feet in the air. Just fucking started shooting out shapes. Just started shooting out shapes in the air.
Is that your phone ringing?
Yes, my brother.
Oh, okay.
Started shooting out shapes in the air. Yeah. We seen it take off. Didn't make not one fucking single noise. But you could see the space being distorted as a trail. Dude, we grabbed our shit and fucking left. We didn't even pick up all our shit. We just wrapped our tents up, threw them in the cars, and left. We were so fucking scared. It came out in the news that night. A lot of people seen it.
Damn.
A lot of people witnessed it. And you know what they called it? It was a government experiment.
Of course.
On a military airport. There's no fucking military airport nowhere near Modesto. The fuck out of here. We were there where it happened.
Yeah.
We were fucking there.
That's I was listening earlier today. I was listening to the JRE. I was listening to the Bob Lazar and Jim. What was his name? Dang it! But they were talking about folding gravity and things like gravity generators, the things he had worked on, and the way it distorts the space around it. And he described it as when you look at a road on a hot day.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes the air look like it's water. You know, you know that shimmer that happens on pavement on a hot day, the way the air shimmers. And he was describing this craft that underneath it was this like bluish haze, and that when you looked underneath it and all around it was that shimmer.
Yeah.
So when it's moving, maybe that was a similar technology. I'm willing to believe that aliens exist. They do definitely exist. And they definitely do come here and screw with us and manipulate us. And maybe there's a few of them out there that are benign and trying to guide us.
Well, the majority of them are you know, benevolent. They're not out here to get us.
Good, because we wouldn't be able to freaking put up much of a fight.
No. Well, actually, they're smart in a technological sense.
Yeah.
But they're not smart in a combative sense. They'll take themselves out destroying something, from what I understand. And the reason why you could see the distortion around when a craft moves is because they've mastered space travel in a way that we can't really explain yet. But the best way they've explained it is like, okay, you see this blanket right here, right?
Yeah.
From this end, if I put this bottle opener on that end over there, or let's say right there, what's the fastest way I can get to that bottle opener from here?
Traditionally, one would say a straight line.
Okay. But how?
I think I know where you're going with
propulsion, something really fast. If I leap in on it, no, the fastest way is for me to grab this and pull it towards me. To grab this cloth, if I pull it towards me as fast as I can, that's going to be the fastest way I will get to that. So theoretically, in a sense, they're not really moving that fast. They're bending time.
Yeah, folding. They're
folding and bending and folding time around them. They're bringing wherever they're going to them. They're not going to it.
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, to go from here, to go from here to there, one would say straight line.
Yeah.
But what if you were able to fold?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly the way they travel. And we can't understand it because we don't have the technology for it. And we may have it, but we haven't unlocked that.
I think to do that, you would have to be able to access the fourth dimensional technology, because you're talking about traveling distances, traveling a physical distance almost instantly. And the only instance I know of that happening would be a fourth dimensional interaction.
Yeah, but you have to have the right elements to be able to tear into the fourth dimension.
Yeah. In order to be able to get there and come
we
back.
may have access to that, but like Bob Lazar said, they've been trying to reverse engineer it for how long?
Okay, yeah, I was listening to that.
And we're not allowed to.
No, it's not that we're not allowed to. We're not there yet. We're not ready for it. That they unpack that stuff. They've had it for decades, maybe even longer. And that we don't understand it. It's like if you were to take a nuclear reactor, any sort of nuclear reactor, and drop it off in, say, the colonial period. They would look at that thing with all manner of fascination. They just fucking mastered the steam engine. I'm dropping this thing off on George Washington's footstep right after he gets inaugurated as president. Okay, so 1789.
Wow.
They're just beginning to really master steam power. So if you take a fucking nuclear reactor and drop a generator for power and drop it off on in front of the White House, what do you think they're going to do with it? They're not going to know what to do with it. They could see that it runs electricity, it generates electricity, but for crying out loud, Benjamin Franklin had only just begun tying keys to kites.
Yeah.
They hadn't really harnessed the electricity yet. They were just beginning to understand that lightning is electricity.
It's like me. I remember before we had these smartphones where you could navigate the web and stuff. I remember having this device. It was called a Zune. It wasn't around for long, but do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and they got pushed out of the marketplace pretty fast by the iPad.
I feel like they were the first ones to be able to watch short clips. I forget what they're called.
Vine?
No, you were able to watch like short clips of Family Guy, and there's a specific name for that. Not full clips, but it was a small clips. It was like
no idea.
I think it was podcasts.
Was it
small podcasts of like Family Guy or like
I'm not sure, man.
Whatever it may be, but it was a small.
I didn't have a Zune, man.
It was a small like you could watch Family Guy and listen to it and everything, and it was on a device that you could also listen to music. And to me, it was like, man, this is some fucking out of this world technology, because at the time all we had was flip phones and you had the ones that would slide up and you could just text, and maybe
the BlackBerry,
and maybe just go on Google and look up your email, but you couldn't Google pictures or porn or anything like that. You would have to get
still a few ways off.
Yeah, you would have to get on a physical computer to do that.
Right.
And even then, you didn't have access to everything we have now. And then, out of nowhere, like, fucking, you have...
Well, the first smartphones were horrible.
You have everything on a fucking smartphone now. Like, I mean, internet, fucking videos, music, contacts. Like, people live their life on their phone.
Oh, yeah.
TikTokers and YouTubers. And it's like, to us, it's something new and fucking incredible. And if you take this back, like you said, to George Washington,
the first thing they're going to try and do is figure out what makes it tick. How does it work?
Yeah, they're going to be blown out of their fucking mind. This is alien technology.
Yeah, they're going to swear it's alien technology.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's what I mean. The first thing they're going to do with this nuclear reactor, and I'm using that because that's what Bob Lazar was talking about. And the first thing they're going to do is, this is the danger of messing with advanced technology if you don't understand it.
Yeah.
That the first thing you can do is you're either going to break it or kill yourself.
Yeah.
And that's happened apparently with messing with this alien technology that they have at Area 51 supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
So if you put that nuclear reactor on the White House, give that to Ben Franklin.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing they're going to do is, how does it work? What makes it tick? What's inside this thing? They're going to start taking it apart to see how it works, because that's what they understand. Steam is an engine, moving things. You take fire. Fire heats water. Steam goes up and pushes pistons. Things move. So they're looking for moving parts. They're looking for the mechanical linkage. They're going to open it up. And when they open the shielding to see the reactor, the radiation kills them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first thing they're going to fucking do is kill themselves with it.
And I feel like they have it all fucked up. I feel like they need to stop thinking this technology is from this world.
Well,
and I feel like the technology that they're using for those crafts, it's all consciousness. You have to have a connection with it. Physically.
A connection, yeah. An intuitive connection with the craft.
Yeah, maybe. And it should never be removed. It's not a fucking engine. It should never be removed from the craft. If it was built, they think that the craft was built and then this reactor was put in it. And you know what I think? I think that the craft was built around the reactor.
That would depend on the craft.
And I feel
depending,
and I don't know if you got
depending on which description you take. All the sightings that happen, there's a lot of different types of craft, at least, supposedly.
Yeah, because there's different types of races. I mean, you can't say.
Well, not only that, but also, just every race can have multiple types of craft, depending on what the craft is supposed to do.
Depending on the race and depending on the planet, they have access to different types of elements and materials.
Not only that, but what's purpose does the craft serve? We're one species on one planet. How many different types of car do we have?
You know, the way I've always seen it and thought about it is, okay, Earth is a mineral planet.
It's a big rock, yeah.
How do we know or not know that there's planets out there that instead of having rivers of water, don't have rivers of blood? Meat grows on trees. Bones are roots or can be manufactured. How do we not know that? We don't.
All right, we don't. We would just assume that most other planets formed like ours because, and as far as we've been able to calculate out, that's all we've encountered.
We've never really been able to calculate it. Nothing past the moon. Everything else has been assumptions. Based off what's in our solar system.
They have managed to make, like, almost like, I want to use the example, the metaphor of X-rays. Bouncing radar and things like that off of other planets, using satellites, bouncing radar.
But by the time we get the message back, it's like, okay, let me explain it to you like this: something that's 7 billion light years away from us, if they were to look at us through a telescope that could reach our planet, they'd be looking at the dinosaurs right now.
Actually, it wouldn't even be dinosaurs.
You get what I'm saying, though, right?
It'd be primordial ooze.
That's how long it'll take
it would take
for the projection to get to them.
It would take 7 billion years for one photon of light to reach them.
So what we're looking at, it's not current.
No. Yeah, we lost power again. Hi, folks, we're back.
Hello, we had
again
a technical interruption with our surge protector. I really got to get back here with Davis and fix his electrical. That's hell for another day. Where did you leave off?
The studio is evolving.
Yeah, it's one step at a time.
Iterative changes over time.
Yeah. So you left off, and we were talking about propulsion. I was going to say
that. Okay, the alien technology that we supposedly have locked away in Hangar 18 of Area 51. I love this song, Hangar 18. I always come back to that just because Megadeth.
Okay.
Long explanation, another time. They put an album, Rust in Peace. One of the songs was Hangar 18. Great album.
Yes.
Fucking metal. Some solid fucking metal there.
Yeah.
And we don't understand. The nuclear reactor on Ben Franklin's doorstep is a perfect technology because the first thing they're going to do is trying to figure out how it works. But they're going to have no comprehension as to how nuclear fusion works.
Yeah.
So trying to understand how these gravity engines or whatever the fuck they are, whatever's in these craft that makes them work, we're not there yet. We don't have a comparable technology. Ben Franklin wanted to understand nuclear fusion because the most advanced technology of his day is steam. They don't have a comparable technology to give.
He wouldn't understand the 4-stroke engine.
There's no, maybe, but there's no.
Take him a while.
There's no real frame of reference for them to build to bridge the gap from there to there.
It's kind of just like, here, figure it out.
Right. So unless you have some frame of reference, you couldn't do it. And that's why we've had this technology under wraps since, we'll say Roswell was our first UFO. That was 48. Just work
first UFO known to public.
Okay. But we'll just say, a UFO crashes in the desert, the government sees it, and they've been trying to reverse engineer technology since that point. I'm just laying out an example of train of thought.
And that's like trying to figure out how a 1986 Corolla works as opposed to a 2022 Mercedes Maybach. That's how far back we are.
There you go. Or even older, my 79 Corolla wagon.
Imagine what they have now.
My 79 Corolla wagon with its 2-barrel carburetor, push rod, because push rod is life. Compared to Hyundai's new engine with its actuators. It doesn't even have intake cams. It has actuators that open the valves.
Imagine what they have now, though.
What? The government? The technology that they have?
Imagine what the aliens have now. We're still trying to figure out their fucking 1948 UFO.
Yeah, if you think about the growth of the way technology grows by leaps and bounds.
They have shit right now that we probably will never even see because
this is their garbage.
Anti-cloak or cloaking device. I'm going to tell you my second experience with wasn't even a UFO no more, it was a mothership. And this one, you can call me crazy. Everybody would call me crazy.
Okay, you're crazy.
But it was just, it was just me and my ex-wife. All my kids were asleep in the back. We were driving back from Hanford. We're on the 43. Just past, I don't want to say Mountain View. It was before Mountain View. But whatever, it was nothing but fields. It was like 12 a.m., 12:30ish. We would always come home late from her parents' house because her parents live in Hanford. So, I remember, I'm not going to blame it on the alcohol because I wasn't fucked up. But I didn't want to drive because I had a couple beers. She was driving. I was laid back listening to music in the car. And out of nowhere, she's like, hey, what are those lights? And I looked up the windshield and I could see like 4 or 5 lights, very dim. So I looked at the mirror, and sometimes you know how reflections will reflect off the windshield, and
Light does weird things.
And I just kept looking, and she was like, "What are those lights? You see them?" Like, yeah. So I was like, "Fuck this." I've always, ever since I seen that object camping, I've always been head over heels for aliens. So I lower my window down and I peek out, and dude, you could clearly, this before I had my glasses, clearly fucking see an enormous, and I'm talking about enormous fucking object. I wouldn't even say it was in our atmosphere. It was for sure in space.
Yeah.
But you can clearly see out what they were like windows. And they were lighting up and dimming down. And then out of nowhere, they just disappeared. But I tried to record it with my phone. My phone wouldn't reach that far. Not even on full zoom.
Yeah. That's one thing.
It was the most
camcorders.
fucking amazing experience. It was even better than the first one. Because that's where I stand through my brain. I seen a fucking mothership, bro.
Damn, bro.
I fucking seen it, and I could see the shape of it. Where the windows were lighting up, you could see the shape as it was shaping up. Boom, boom, boom. And my wife will tell you, like, I mean, two people, like, it's kind of hard to believe they could agree with each other. They're married, whatever. I don't care. People's opinions are like assholes to me. Everybody has one. So, but that experience is something people can't take from you, you know.
Yeah.
And I would take that with me when I die or whatever. But if in our lifetime it comes out to public that, hey, these are real proof of UFOs, or a UFO comes out of mothership, it's like, fucking told you guys.
Well, the whole UFO community right now is having I told you so. I mean, because every time Hunter Biden gets caught smoking crack, the news runs out there and says, UFOs are real.
Well, they released some shit out the Pentagon and whatnot, but I mean, there's always a cover up to something. But the way I've seen everything, it's like there's certain things you can make up, out of imagination.
Okay.
But even then, you would have had to have seen it at some point in order for you to even make it up. So everything has some truth behind it that you can make up.
Some frame of reference.
Of course. There has to be a reference point. And for a UFO or an alien or big eyes, slim bodies, for that to be explained with such detail, it's like, how do you come up with that shit? You can't just make it up. There has to be a reference point. Whether somebody seen one at one point and drew it out like that, and just people started misinterpreting like they do with everything. Makes sense, you know? But what I've seen, and I've talked to people that have seen stuff, and, you know, everybody has their own story and encounter.
Yeah.
We can all, I mean, there's people that have the ability to see ghosts and entities. And there's people that just don't have that.
Seeing them is one thing. Interacting with them,
it's a different form of consciousness. It goes back to the same thing.
Yeah.
That's the fourth dimension. And some people, like I said, there's glitches. Some people are born with that glitch embedded in them. Like, some people can literally tell what's going to happen next to them. And they'll say it.
I know someone that is spiritually empathic, and she used to do some psychic investigations in haunted places. I'll talk to her and I'll see if she feels what's her thoughts on whether spirits are a form of consciousness that might be trapped and can't get to the next dimension.
I feel it's more of those that didn't graduate.
Yeah,
and
they're stuck.
It's like being in jail.
I was gonna say high school.
You're being punished.
Yeah, sometimes there's not much difference.
Yeah, there's really not. So going back to what I was saying though, like, us humans, the smartest of us, trying to reverse engineer something that we have no formula to, no instructions to, yeah, it's damn near impossible.
Yeah.
Bob Lazar was a smart motherfucker. But for him to sit there and try to reverse engineer some kind of element or what you want to call it that probably requires some kind of higher consciousness to even access controls or whatever, it's never going to happen.
I won't say never.
You got to have...
Well, I mean, we're closer now than we were 80 years ago when we found these things.
But you'd figure that shit's got to have some kind of anti-theft. You can't walk up to a UFO and think you're just going to steal it. They know what they're doing. And they know we have no way of even knowing how that shit works. So them crashing and leaving is just like, all right, you got our fucking... It's like me.
I mean, it'd be like if...
All right,
if
you got my 2015 Ferrari, but I have the fucking keys. Good luck trying to start it. You're never going to start it.
Well, not only that...
Eventually, you're going to find a way...
Yeah.
What the technology would have. All right, I could bypass the frequency on the transmitter and the transponder and whatever not. And okay, I could get it to start.
Well, not only that, but you've left your 2023 Maybach. Not only did you just fucking walk away from it, but you left it on George Washington's doorstep.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand what a car is.
He doesn't even understand what a push to start is.
Correct. Exactly. So we have our technology, and that's one thing that Bob Lazar was talking about, that the whole operation of trying to reverse engineer this thing, they've had to do it slowly over time because of the limitations of our technology.
Yeah.
To understand that technology. Our frame of reference hasn't expanded large enough to understand their technology. So they've had to work out a little while, put it away, work at it a little while, and put it away. Every couple of years they bring this thing back out. It's because the advances in our technology. Looking at our technology in 1948, let's say 1950 to 1970, the technology had completely changed.
Yeah.
Wireless radios were in every house. Every house had a radio and a TV. Back in 1950, most people didn't have TVs. Only a large number of people had radios, but very few people had TVs.
Do you know what's been our biggest setback in technology, though?
The Bronze Age collapse?
Money.
No.
If it doesn't produce money, it ain't worth bringing it out.
Okay. I think I know where you're going there. The corporations buying up patents for things and then never unleashing the product because it would ruin their current product.
It's like... Let me give you a perfect example. Why would I create or invent something that's gonna last so long and require almost zero maintenance and be so efficient to the point where there's no profit? Why am I gonna market that and put that on the streets?
Yeah, the old nylon stockings. Are you familiar with that?
No.
The nylon principle. Okay, when nylon stockings first came out back in the 20s. Okay. They were durable. They were meant to be reused. Even up into the 1950s, nylon stockings were reusable.
Yeah.
You would launder them and wear them. Look at stockings now. A lady can barely get their stockings on without getting a run in them. They're
true.
so flimsy and cheap and fucking...
Yeah, that's true.
Disposable. The idea of everything being disposable because then you just get another one. Production, right. Renewable goods. And this is something boomers complain about, and they're right. Back in my day, things were built to last. Well, they fucking were.
Yeah. Look at
a
Toyota back then as opposed to now.
Look at... Okay, the most advanced technology of the 1970s, the Voyager 1 spacecraft, is still operational. It's still fucking sending telemetry. It's not as good as it used to be.
Yeah.
True. It's been in space for 50 years. No 50-year-old piece of technology.
I'm going to give you a perfect example that's right behind you. Look at that VCR.
Yes. And that's a great example of how technology gets lost.
You can put a cassette in there.
And it still works.
1,000 times. And it's going to work.
Not 1,000 times, but a lot.
I can put a CD in a PS2 and it's not going to work.
Actually, my PS2s still work.
Yeah, but if you get a couple scratches on that CD, guess what?
That's true.
Can you scratch a VCR cassette?
Yes.
How?
If you lift the little flap and damage it, yes.
Okay.
My sister actually watched 101 Dalmatians until the tape fucking broke. But also to support your tape, my stepdad fixed it with some Scotch tape, and she kept watching the.
You're gonna
movie.
have to want to ruin it though.
Nah, she did by accident. She just kept watching it.
No, but I'm saying to scratch what you're saying on it, lifting it up and.
I mean, you could do it by accident. She wore it out by use. She wore it out.
Yeah, of course, everything's
Anything with mechanical moving parts eventually wears out.
Yeah, but a CD, just from popping it in and out, you're gonna scratch it to a point where.
Eventually, yeah, they wear out from use.
And it's easier. A kid could play with a VCR cassette. A kid can't play with a CD.
No, you're right. Lily has destroyed several DVDs.
That's what I'm saying. So.
Yeah. But she can use the VHS.
That's a perfect example of how things were built back then to last.
Yeah, not only that, but earlier CDs could withstand damage and still play.
Yeah.
And over time, they got flimsier and flimsier to where the slightest scratch would render them unusable. So that's the nylon stocking principle.
The newer ones couldn't even have fingerprints on them.
God, piece of junk. But they did that on purpose so they could constantly
and now
sell
everything
new
is,
ones.
guess what?
Downloads.
Wireless.
Yeah, it's wireless.
And
downloads.
guess what? If you don't have internet, guess what?
You don't download.
You're fucked.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's because
is technology more advanced? Yes, but it's limited because of fucking money. Because of profit. Okay, we're never gonna be.
Okay, Klaus Schwab.
We're never gonna be advanced because there's always that motherfucker back there. The same thing they told Tesla, Nikola Tesla. Well, that's not gonna produce us any money. Shut that shit down. You're giving free electricity to the whole fucking world. Where's my profit? And you shut them down.
Well, okay. The idea of transmitting electricity through the air for free, just the idea of transmitting electricity through the air. What you're talking about there is basically lightning. That is electricity moving through the air. The idea of using...
It wouldn't have killed you.
Well, I mean, we're transmitting electricity through the air right now. Your phone is actually a low amperage or a low voltage signal. It's electricity moving through the air.
Yeah.
That literally is. And it doesn't take much power to push data. But it does take a lot more power to power that light over there than it does to send you a text.
Okay.
And this is in the time of the age of the machine. They were all about putting light bulbs in everything. They were all about turning motors, turning levers, doing all this stuff. So to actually we were mechanics. How much voltage does it take to activate a spark plug?
Do you know how a transformer works?
Yes.
Low voltage to high voltage.
Yeah, it's basically a Tesla coil.
Okay. His idea wasn't pushing 120 volts through the air. His idea was pushing a small amount of voltage to a receptor and from there stepping it up. So instead of having all these power wires right now, you'd probably have a small antenna in the top of your house that would transmit that low voltage into high voltage into your house.
So you'd have to have a Tesla coil in every house?
Theoretically, yes, instead of 1 million power lines running through the whole city and having and risk losing power every time there was a strong wind. In a sense, he said it himself in one of his quotes. I wasn't wrong or stupid. The world just wasn't ready for such technology. And he was 1,000% correct. Same thing with Einstein, same thing with a lot of these smart guys that just went out and never got to prove their point.
I see it.
Because of money. It goes back to the same thing.
I have to push back a little bit because ever so often a great idea gets put out there and makes bundles of money, and that's why they put the great idea out there. Why do you have an iPhone? Why don't you have a wall phone?
But they limit the idea.
Why don't you have a wall phone?
Okay, I have an iPhone, but I still don't have holographic technology.
But why do you have an iPhone and not a wall phone? Why don't you have a flip phone?
Because it's not as fast and efficient.
Oh, that sounds like advanced technology.
It does, but I'm still limited.
You're still limited. You don't
have... My
have
battery still dies.
Your battery still dies. Okay. But you don't have a flip phone.
But a flip phone's battery will last me longer than my
Why
iPhone.
don't you have the Nokia brick phone?
Efficiency?
It's not as efficient?
It's not.
It's not as efficient as your iPhone?
It's not.
So it's less advanced than your iPhone.
It
You kind
depends.
of cornered yourself.
It depends what you're using it for.
But
If I'm using it, if
is
I'm using
the
it,
Nokia 5310 as advanced of a piece of technology as your iPhone?
if I'm using it slowly for calls and texts, it's just as advanced, if not better, because I can actually talk for longer periods of time and text for longer periods of time without the Nokia flip phone dying. But if I'm using it to surf the web and waste my time, and maybe use it as my wallet to pay for things, or
But you can access the internet, and as such, access basically what's a fourth dimension almost. The internet is almost a fourth dimension. You can access nearly endless information on the internet.
I can access endless information, but it also takes me away from my daily activities.
But you can it does more things than the Nokia 5310. It's a more advanced piece of technology. Why did some phone company decide to put out an iPhone which replaced every flip phone, every BlackBerry, every Razor?
Money.
Thank you. They put it out because money. So money is not good or evil. It's not a limitation. It's simply a tool. Money is a tool. It is a hammer. It is a crescent wrench. It is a drill.
But they're always going to limit. They're always going to limit.
No, money is a tool. It has no inherent. It has as much. A dollar bill has as much of its own free will as that bottle, which has none. That bottle has no ability to make a decision for itself. A dollar has no ability to make a decision for itself. Its only ability to do anything is inherent on the person holding it.
Yeah. But see,
money is not the problem. The problem is the person holding it. And now you're not talking about money control, you're talking about people control.
Yeah.
And good fucking luck with that.
No, I completely agree with you. It's not the paper material, it's the decision making.
What you're talking about is not money. You're talking about avarice.
Yeah.
You're talking about covetousness. The lust of money and the things it can do for that one person versus what it can do for the masses. That's not money. That's control.
They prefer to make $1 million and make something that you have to keep buying over and over again, as opposed to make $1 trillion one time and make that last.
See, that's not money.
For a longer
money is
time.
the MacGuffin. Money is a MacGuffin. You know what a MacGuffin is?
Mm-mm.
It's the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. A pointless object that does nothing more than move the plot along.
What's to some people, money is everything.
Well, it's because they have a very small worldview.
Yeah, and they were just born into it.
Right.
They don't understand what a struggle is. And for you to understand what a struggle is and not just come from it,
see, they
are two different things.
They love money because it gives them the ability to control people.
And pleasure.
But that pleasure comes from getting things. It's a MacGuffin. It's a means to an end.
Yeah.
It's a tool for them to get what they want. Money was the same tool. I used that same tool to buy the beer.
Yeah.
I wanted beer, therefore I used money to get it. It's not the money. It's the control of others. It's the belief that you can control people's actions by instilling a product onto a market.
Yeah.
So it's not. I'm not trying to defend money. I'm just saying that it's an inanimate object with no will of its own.
No, of course. I completely understand where you're going with this.
It's the idea of control and
it's
power.
just the person making the decision is the problem.
Right. So it's how do you convince somebody to release a piece of technology simply for the betterment of humanity versus their own.
Oh, well, we would have to go back and rewrite society in that case.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah,
it would take the Younger Dryas Impact to do that, because that's what it took last time.
I mean, you can't erase what's done already. You can try to improve it, but
it would take a giant fucking meter.
It just seems like we're getting worse.
No.
I mean, shit. I didn't have a phone till I was 18.
Yeah, well, when boomers were growing up, they didn't have a phone until they were 90.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Like, there's a lot of information that's beneficial.
I mean, I didn't have a cell phone until I got a job and went out and bought one.
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, like, there's no limit anymore. And when there's no limit, there's problems.
Well, that's the game of infinite probability.
Like,
you have to have...
It's a trend now. It's a trend. It's okay for a 3-year-old to have a phone. When my daughter's 2 years old and she knows how to maneuver the phone. She knows how to take pictures. She knows how to scroll up on YouTube. She knows how to search her own videos. And I'm just like...
No, you're right. That's getting into boundaries. Yeah, the game of infinite probability is dangerous.
It is not okay anymore. And there's not going to be a stop or a halt to it because guess what? They're making money.
No, they don't care.
They don't care. The money's coming in. They don't care who they take on the way of them getting to that. It's a Ponzi scheme.
Nah.
It's a fucking Ponzi scheme.
Social Security is a Ponzi scheme, but you know what a Ponzi scheme is? I have to bring you back on the different. Okay. I see where you're trying to go, but the definition of Ponzi scheme disagrees with your analogy.
There's a person up here. There's a person down 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 here. This person's using this person. This person's using this person. This person's using this person. It's a pyramid scheme.
Okay, that's different than a Ponzi, but yes. A pyramid scheme is a hierarchy of command, yes.
Yeah.
You've got one king, you've got one pharaoh, and he ain't sharing. There's always one person at top, and they're not sharing. There's always one monarch.
But there's always another person on top because it's never ending. There's always somebody better than you.
No, you can't stay on the top for long.
No.
Sisyphus will never get his boulder to stay on top.
Personally, I believe there's not even a top.
Top to what?
To anything. Like, you can't say, I'm at the top when there's somebody higher than you. There's always somebody higher or somebody better. Always.
Okay, well, to give an analogy to that, athleticism. You might break the person who set the world record in 1928 wouldn't even place in the Olympic Games today.
Well,
because
the only reason why he set the world record is because he went out there and let himself be known. But there was probably somebody else in a third world country that probably has no television doing what he was doing 10 times better than him. It's just we never knew about it.
Well, the things that there's always increases or always improvements in things that a person who wins the Olympic gold in 1920 would not place, they wouldn't qualify, they wouldn't be fast enough to place in the Olympics today.
Yeah.
Why? Because Olympic runners today are so much faster than they were 100 years ago.
Okay.
So you're right, there is no top. How fast can a person run? We don't know what the limit is. We haven't hit that maximum that maximum yet.
It's always changing.
It's always increasing.
Yeah.
How fast can our jets fly? We don't know what the limit is because we're always making faster jets.
Yeah.
How high can our spacecraft go? We don't know. How far can we send satellites out? We don't know. Voyager 1's still fucking going. I mean, it's fucking using 8 tracks.
I feel like
it was using 8-track cassette tapes to record telemetry, and it's still going.
I feel like at the end of the day, we're just, us as a human race, we're just running circles around ourselves.
No, we're not going in circles.
We're going in circles to an extent because, okay, we're chasing something and we're living a certain dream, okay? So, going back to the money thing, and I know we've been hitting at this.
Okay, are you talking about us as individuals or us as a species?
As a whole, as a technology, as
a species, as a global organism.
Yes, because like it or not, we're all following each other.
To an extent.
Yeah.
There are some radicals out there that are doing other things that drive culture, that drive us further.
They're very, very, very vaguely even.
I mean,
we could even say that they don't exist to us. Because, I mean, there's still tribes out there that don't even know what a cell phone is.
True.
So in a sense, every race, every human has its own world in its mind. But what I'm saying about that, we're just going in circles, is that we're just following what the next person's doing based off what society we're living in, and based off what we want to do, and based off what we see on the web, or based off what we see as a whole. Because look at us.
Yeah, because 85% of humanity is dead asleep and just following the herd. Yes.
Yeah.
The herd mentality is real. Always has been, and probably always will be. It's just...
It even applies to animals.
Well, exactly. And then we are an animal. We're just animals with tools.
Yeah.
And you're right that we as individuals and as a herd just kind of mosey along wherever the herd seems to be going. Very few people are willing to strike out from the herd and do something different and to try different things. But every so often, people do things that are different.
And when you try to do that, you get assassinated by the government.
Not always.
There's been very few that will live to tell.
I don't know. I think the people that were building airplanes, what's his name, Douglas? I think he lived a pretty long life.
There's this rapper. He goes by the name of Immortal Technique. One of the smartest and verbally advanced rapper I've ever heard. And he talks a lot about the government. And he doesn't care. He talks about the Nazis. He talks about Hitler. He talks about guerrilla war. And his songs are based off our history and what's going on right now.
What's his name? Immortal Technique? I'm going to write that down. I'm going to look that up later.
And in one of his songs, he talks about the gas chambers. And he talks about, what is it called when the government, or not the government, when, I want to say chemical warfare, or there's another name for it.
Biological warfare?
Yeah, when you kill somebody with a virus.
Biological warfare.
He talks about that, and he throws it in his phrase, in his song. He stops himself from giving out information about what's going on. And he's like, I'm speaking too much. The government's trying to murder me. And he's proven in videos, he comes out speaking of there's been attempts against his life. And he doesn't have beef with anybody. He's from New York and he's just living his life, but he's just a real gifted individual that studied, and he talks about everything. Talks about religion, talks about history, he has a full understanding of what's going on in our society, in our government, and he just expresses it through his music most of the time.
I see. He's one of the radicals I'm telling you about. That you're saying most people are going to follow. Yeah, and they're going to follow the fucking herd. That's why it's called herd mentality, and that's why that term exists, because it's real. But there are radicals who push outwards and thus cause seismic shifts in the direction of the herd.
Yeah.
It's just, are there enough radicals out there to cause enough seismic shifts to drive the herd in a positive, improving direction.
And this is the reason why we're doing this, to try to get those to hop on board.
Well, that's one of the reasons, yes.
You know what a martyr is?
Yeah.
He has a song called The Martyr. You should listen to that.
Okay. I'll look that up. I can't spell, but okay.
Martyr.
Tyr. Thank you. Dyslexics of the world, untie!
So I think we should...
Yeah, we should start wrapping up.
Call
here.
it a night. Wrap
Pretty
it
sure the
up.
memory card, our second memory card, is almost full, and it's like.
Yeah, and you're gonna have a lot of editing to do.
Yeah, I'll try it. Yeah, well, no. Actually, this weekend being Christmas weekend,
when you put this out, I'm gonna get you so much views, and we have to specify hitting this topic again based on how much views you're gonna get.
Okay, if I get 25 views on YouTube, I'm buying you a cake.
25?
I get very
25?
It's pathetic. How many views?
Because you don't know me. I know a lot of people.
Okay.
And trust me, this is gonna get out there.
Okay, cool.
And it's gonna get out there, and you're gonna be like, okay, you know. But next time we record,
it's tragic.
Next time we record, we're gonna have outlets, and it's gonna be more, you know.
I'm not worried too much about the evolution of the studio. It's coming
along. No, I'm not talking
good.
about the evolution. Like the studio is fine. Like I love the background. I love everything about it. But you need outlets to not have technical difficulties.
And a better camera.
The camera's fine.
Yeah, I need a better camera.
Maybe you need 2 more cameras. One over here. That way you can switch angles as we're talking.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And climate control.
But it's been nice. It's been, we've had good discussions, and you know.
Yeah. See, I knew this would go well.
I love the studio. We had beer, you know.
You like my clock?
I'm Batman. Love the clock, but yeah. So
it's actually kind of a mess right now, but it's coming along. This is what I was doing this morning. I actually was like trying to clean all this mess up.
It's fine. I mean, it ain't a mess.
It's like, you know what else is...
You know what you have.
I was going to say, you know what's clean? Museums. You know what happens there? Nothing.
Exactly. I haven't been to one place that's clean and something's going on.
Exactly.
It's usually like there's a mess for a reason. There's activity there.
You can't cook spaghetti without dirtying a pot.
Look at our fucking shop where we work at.
It's always a mess.
It's a fucking mega shop. And it's still a fucking mess.
No matter how much we clean it.
Dude, I clean my area like 3 times a day, and at the end of the day, it looks the fucking same. And I'm just over this shit. Mm-hmm. And then it was nice.
Yep. Oh, and we filled up the memory card, so nobody can see you doing that. Okay. He's dabbing, folks.
I'm dabbing.
I'll get a pic. I'll try and get a picture.
Remember, guys, follow Discussions with Davis. It was a good night.
Yes.
See you guys next time.
So, well, I don't know why I'm waving at the camera. You can't see me. All right. So, leave a like, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment if you liked it, if you hated it, if you'd like to see more of it, if you don't want to ever see it again. Just leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Whether you got here through YouTube, Rumble, or Spotify, thanks for being here, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much.